Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for clicking on my live video. If you're watching this and we are not live right now, tune in for the last 15 minutes of this stream here because we do break down most of the stocks that we do cover on this channel in the last 15 minutes, see what happened throughout the day. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you coming by. Leave a like on it if you could and get into it. Oh, I am going to have Bloomberg.
You just the question mark.
Respond. Discuss.
Discuss.
There you go.
Yeah.
Equities right now, negative a third of.
But this morning we are looking out for that PCE. See if we see that tick up. Expected to come in around that 0.4. Anything above 0.4 is going to be a little bit of bad news for the market. So good morning. Grab your coffee. I got mine. I am ready for a good day. What's everyone's opinions on PCE? Is it going to tick up like CPI, or are we going to get some kind of surprise in the opposite direction? What do you guys think this morning? Thursdays are a great day. I can stream for a little bit longer. We're going to really try to stay a couple hours after open on the live stream here just to see how the market is reacting, seeing if the first move is the right one. That PCE does come out in the next 12 minutes. So while we're waiting for this, make sure to like the stream. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, do all that good stuff for me, all right, this morning. Good stuff for me, all right. Yeah, I'm pulling it up just in case. I like to see how the quality's looking. Couple likes going on. PCE they're talking about. Let's see what they're saying this morning.
Yeah, I think it's possible, and you know, more importantly, when you know, even away from whether or not the Fed's going to cut rates at all, the options market. So when you look at options on short-term interest rate contracts,
these even there's never like it seems like fake people
this year, and that's a massive sea change. Remember, it wasn't long ago we were pricing for 6 interest rate cuts with 0 chance of any hike.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning.
Almost a 0
Anybody
chance
there
of
to say good morning back?
or
Come on,
one
guys,
cut rather. And now the fact that we're starting to think that, hey, maybe the economy is going to be strong enough and inflation high enough that the Fed might have to not only pivot to no cuts, but actually be thinking about hiking is a really big sea change. Now, right now.
Good morning, Daniel. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
At the same time, you know, that has
Dan Verdoon. I am number 1 on this video from Amsterdam, Holland. What is the CPE for number? Well, it comes out in about 10 minutes. Welcome, welcome from Holland. I used to, when is PCE bad? If it ticks up, an uptick, so above 0.4, 0.4 might come in as a negative reaction, but it's what it's expected. So maybe that negative reaction is wrong, and that's why we are going to be looking at these risk ranges for the day. We have your daily risk ranges for the SPY, 509.26. To the upside, they're not talking about much. Let's get these guys off.
So the market had been pretty.
Yeah, so PCE comes out in a few minutes here. We're paying attention to these risk ranges, seeing if that wants to come in at consensus at a 0.4. What that might initially do is give you this downward move, and then we could actually see that reverse by the end of the day because it is consensus. People might see that as good news. So we just want to pay attention to any kind of other cup being formed at the level here with that gap or gap support. That's really what I would pay attention to. To the downside, that 503.20. Good chance that we could land outside of one of these zones today. I'm really leaning towards that because it's not the biggest move in the SPY, in the Qs, not the biggest move priced in. We could see some of that crazier price action today. We've landed inside these zones a lot the last few days, so I do think we have a good chance to come outside of one of them today. From Holland, that's dope. I think I am. Wait, Holland is. Yeah, Holland is Dutch. I think I am Dutch actually. That's fun. I actually made an app way back before COVID. That was the business I started. It was doing well, and then COVID ruined it. But it was called Feast. Feest. That's a Dutch word, I think. think I'm from Hungary. I am hungry. Actually, not yet. This coffee's really settling me, but hey, that's awesome. It's cool to see some people from all around. Find a dip on snow. Yeah, I did see, I think I said maybe it was Salesforce earnings, but I think those have a little bit more time. Snow. This thing is down 22%. You really want to be careful with these kinds of things, right? We mainly just say this 200 is pretty much your last line in the sand. Most likely you will see some kind of bounce. It's just where do you see that bounce? Does this continue for a few days before that bounce comes? So looking for that to possibly reconnect with some moving averages before it wants to head lower. Hi everyone from the UK, from London. All right, who's your Premier League team? Wait, London. London. Liverpool. So London, you'd be Arsenal? The market will not go down. Yes, so the market will not go down, so it keeps trickling up, which is why we're starting to lean towards a little bit more of a dramatic drop. A lot of people would compare this to like 1929. So you can come all the way back and look at 1929 if you'd like, some kind of double topping. Some people compare it to the 04 with sort of a double topping that's just more dramatic. So you do get that divergence up there. But if you didn't know, the last time that we did get this overextended for this amount of time, you notice we've been up here for quite some time, getting up there again. We actually saw a 51% decrease here. It's like 55% here. So a dramatic drop is most likely coming, but what will actually make that happen might have to be a black swan, might have to be something a little bit crazier. This is Dutch, the Netherlands. That's the Netterheads, the Orange Army. Let's go. Bought snow calls yesterday. I will be destroyed today. Yes, so that is why I really try to say, hey, don't trade around earnings. We actually talked about snow on the live show yesterday. Fancy flavor. I don't know if you were fully here, but yeah, we talked about it yesterday, and we were saying, hey, yeah, you know, you can have all the divergences in the world, but earnings can really rip you apart. I've done that once or twice, mainly one of them that went really bad. But I'm just saying, you just want to be a little bit careful around the earnings. There's other stocks you could trade instead of snow this week. And it doesn't mean you can't trade it afterwards. You just want to see that structure. So you can look at things like Palo Alto. I don't know why I can't talk. The daily, we're springing off that 200. Is that going to happen with snow? We don't necessarily know. So you have to be a little bit careful here. Maybe you do see some kind of crossing on the hourly and you do see that buy back up. But we do get news this morning in about 5 minutes. All right. So we have 5 minutes here. Really want to see some strength out of Apple today. If we do get some kind of good news, I want to see Apple participate. That would give me some confidence that there's still one more up move. Kind of sketch going into the weekend, all right? The weekend, actually, let's do Qs, sorry. The weekend here is possibly going to have a government shutdown tomorrow. So be a little bit careful. You're long SoFi. Yes, no idea. Waiting till CPI is 2% incoming. Drop skew index very high right now. Yes, so I was just looking through some videos to get other people's opinions. Yes, I do that. I try to be open to other people's opinions too. I'm not just doing, you know, my analysis and sticking to it. I'm like, no, sometimes a little bit of bias can creep in. So I think I've been pretty good the last week or two with my trading, not being too biased, kind of just playing whatever the charts give me. But you know, it happens. So I do review some other people's stuff after I make my video, and I'm like, okay, there's some good points here. Well, a lot of people are a lot of people before yesterday were saying like, yeah, we're going to see this tank down and then possibly we could go further. But now that we're seeing this kind of gradual, not necessarily sell off, right? This is just profit taking at this point. Could we actually see this as good news for the market, as so many people are saying, you know, it could tick up like the CPI? It kind of makes me want to be contrarian on it and say, hey, maybe this news will actually be good for the market and we won't get a surprise. But that's all a guess. There's nothing behind that. At this point, you have to say on this hourly chart, this does not look good. That is your cup. That is your handle. And on the shorter time frames, you actually created a small cup here with a little tiny handle. So really, the probabilities of this breaking down are pretty high if you start to close below this on an hourly. Good shot. We're going to see possibly the weekly tested to the bottom side. How much PCE do we expect? Okay, so the PCE numbers here. PCE numbers here, if you notice, is going to be 0.2 is the previous, 0.4 consensus, and 0.3 for the forecast. So that's what we're going to wait on. We got about 2 minutes here till that updates, and we're going to see that market reaction here in the pre-market. And then tonight, make sure to think about joining the Patreon. We do give out those monthly risk ranges. Look how those have held up. You know, we come up into this point, we see that selling. Guess what happened about a week before that? Well, we came up into that point. We saw a little bit of profit taking, and then we got the CPI news. So right now you could say, hey, we got to that point. Now we're starting to see that profit taking. Do we get bad PCE news? That's kind of the thing that people are playing with right now. It's a great day to join the Patreon. $7 a month, pretty much a cup of coffee a month, and you get some good insight. Every Wednesday we are going to give an update around these ranges, show you possible trade setups in a video every single Wednesday if we do see some signals that are looking good. This week, not the best. Most stuff just sitting in the middle, but we do have one, Tesla. Tesla's looking a little bit like it's overextended at this point. We're seeing that little cross on the hourly MACD. This one's telling you, hey, we might need to consolidate further before heading higher. Coming up into that zone and things like that we were talking about, it really just dinked its head on that zone and now it's coming down. But to me, this looks like unfinished business. Maybe we want to come outside there, go up to that 207.42. NVIDIA on the day, dead flat. Up 0.2, but that's pretty much dead flat for NVIDIA, right? That thing likes to move. Meta pretty much flat, down 0.06. And see, Meta's kind of the one, this is kind of what my video is about. You know, traders don't like this kind of stuff because it's hard to see which way it's going to go, right? On one end, we have cup, handle, another one. Maybe this is another handle over here, just a bigger one. But to this side, we have that filling of the cup. Now we possibly have the handle and we could head up. So we really want to see 730. Let's see what those numbers are. They are updating as of now. Personal income month over month, 1%. That's kind of crazy. The continued jobless claims, 1905, 0.4. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. Came in at 0.4. This is what I'm talking about. This could be bad news initially because of the tick up from the previous. And then we could see actually a pop because it's what we expected. Or we could actually the other way. So there's kind of two. We want to see how the market is responding to this. It could see good things initially, good things all day today. And then people start to realize, well, that is ticking up from the last month. So if you pull up the bars here, you'll see we were at 1. Then we are at 2. Now we're at 4. This is a scaling up. So we'll have to see if people see that news as good initially because it is what the market expected. But will that last? Because that is still ticking up from the previous month. Okay, so that's what we need to pay attention to this morning. Bitcoin pumping. I did look at Bitcoin, and this is the one where I think we talked about this a few days ago, and I was just pointing out that it's well outside of its Bollinger Band. I think we were talking about it on this day right here, and I was just like, hey, you know, it can go higher. Like, it can go higher, but I would be more confident if it actually gave some got a little sideways for a couple days, then went higher. That would have been nice. This is kind of very blow off toppy at this point. Oh shit. Hopefully I didn't mess this up. Anyway, yeah, you are getting up there though. You're getting up towards, your all-time highs. So you expect some resistance to come in here, some consolidation at least, some kind of slight pullback to head higher as you are way overextended. This is about as overextended as Bitcoin usually gets right now. I can't tell you what to buy, what to sell. I can tell you that snow, if you really, this is how I would trade snow because it's still touching right now off its 200, I believe. Look for that to take back some moving averages before you go long on it. I mean, you can, if you have your own strategy around if a stock's just slamming by 20% down into its 200, then use that strategy. But I don't really have a strategy for when a stock loses 22% before it even opens today and it's right at its 200. You have the opportunity to lose that 200. So not the best. How much PCE? Oh yeah, so I think I already read that, but pretty much 0.4, so that's what people expect. That's why we might see that positivity. But I'd really expect this not to last too long because it's actually not the best. Still a tick up from the previous. But people might see that as good news initially. Retail morning might see that as good news initially. Apple's what we want to see with some strength. See no real strength out of Apple. Amazon still holding where it has to. Tesla getting that little pump. Maybe it goes up to that 207. NVDA starting to see a little bit of green there, up 1%. AMD up about 1%, and Meta up about 0.32. Palo Alto not really moving. Microsoft not really moving yet. Google, this one could be a potential for a good bounce because it's right in a good area here. Remember, this is your line in the sand. We dip a little bit below that, we come back up. See if that's able to bounce. Really pay attention to my recent trend here. Between these highs, could come all the way up into there. The volatility for the day looking like, hey, look, where did it come down? Well, it came down between, this trend right here. We just connected the highs up here and saw this trend. Hey, now we're dinking off the 200 on the hourly. Will that curl back over? I'd probably at this point, let me see the 2 hour. Yeah, at this point, I'd be saying 2 hour, see if some kind of small divergence can form at this gap fill. That would be great from a technical perspective here. But yeah, so let's look at these rates too. So these rates, technically, you do have that tick up from the previous, so it'll be interesting to see what these rates do. Kind of consolidating right in front of that important 4.362, the point that we've been paying attention to, which we almost got to exactly where we saw that resistance come in. So good call by us. We're seeing that curl back over. Is this going to lead to some kind of sideways action, right? Do we just keep going sideways for some time, or are we going to see a downward move with that crossing of the MACD up there? Something to pay attention to this morning. My headphones went insane for a sec. Hopefully you guys didn't hear all that. But the key's getting a solid bounce. I just really want to see if Apple participates. Okay, Apple's starting to get in, but it's only up 0.1. So the next one I would say is NVIDIA. You want to start to participate. NVIDIA, very important around that 800 level. If we can blow past that, that'd be great. I kind of want to pull up the max pain again for NVIDIA. Just because we've been really trying to pay attention to this. Looks pretty similar to yesterday. We're starting to see those calls just pile up here. 20.4 thousand call wall at 750. You see that growing. Actually, 700 was taller than 750 when the week started. Now 750 is taking over. So these expire tomorrow. Just so you guys know, these all expire tomorrow. So if we keep hanging out at lower prices, these people might go underwater pretty good. If we stay below 800, if we start to push above that, we might see a little squeeze going on because you still have a 0.817 put to call ratio, which is above 0.7. So even though it looks, very, very bullish here, a lot of calls coming in, you're still at a 0.81. So that would mean that there are a few more put to the put side. Well, just so you do know, that means 0.81 means obviously you do have more calls, but usually you want those calls right around 0.7. 0.81 still more calls than puts. It's just the overall ratio I pay attention to is a 0.7, 0.75 ratio for the bullish side if it's getting really bullish, and if it starts to go the other way, then I really do pay attention to the levels here. So this 0.956 is something I pay attention to. Anything below 0.8 is where I start to pay attention to the call side. So we're just sitting right above where I start to pay attention to these puts and calls. Sorry about that. That was my dog. Sometimes he barks like a turkey. You laugh. Alan, Bruce, cut it out. Bruce is the young guy. Bruce always tries to play with Alan. Alan never wants to play. And then he squeals like a turkey. It sounds so awful. How is this possible? PPI, CPI, GDP come in hot and magically PCE came in good. Yes, this is why a lot of people say this data can be rigged. All right. Now, that being said, I want you to pay attention, okay? This is how we could see a pop and drop if someone just said, is this a pump fake, okay? So this is still important to note, right? When you look at this, you're like, oh, we're expecting 0.4 and it came in at 0.4. Well, look at this. The previous was 0.2. So that's where I pull up the bars here. This actually came down to 1. I don't know why this says 0.1. This should say 0.2 right in here. So why does that say 0.1? There, that's what it actually should look like. I don't know, unless it got updated. Did that get updated? That must have gotten updated. Yeah, that got updated. Brought down to a 0.1. Okay, so you had 0.1 for 2 months here, and then boom, 0.4. That is a huge increase, like a turkey. Sorry, Steve. So Wesley, how would this be a pump fake, right? This would be people getting excited because it came in at consensus, but they're not realizing that it used to be at 0.3. It was below 0.4, dating all the way back to what is that? Last January, it was at 0.4. So it's like we're coming in from an annual perspective, at least on the month over month here, that it's actually ticking up. So this is what could wake people up. If they start actually talking about this, like, oh, it increased, like month over month actually increased from 0.2 and that got updated to 0.1. Now it's at 0.4 all of a sudden. That actually is a tick up, but because we see this 0.4, that's what we expect. We can see that positivity come in. This is what I was overall saying kind of in my video, is just there's so many reactions that could happen. Is it going to be bad for the market? It needs to be really bad for the market at this point. Look at this bullish sentiment. This is how you know that it needs to be very bad for this market to come down. Well, how high have we come up? Holy crap, we've come up pretty fast. It's going to take some really bad news to convince someone to get out of their position to the bull side. So this is what happens up here when you're finding tops. You see this wonky price action, and it can happen multiple times throughout a big run. Now, the big thing is, are we able to come outside of that weekly or that daily risk range? Are we going to end the month outside of the monthly risk range, or are we going to see some kind of fake out to the upside? Are we just going to see this cup complete and then a handle by the end of the day, and then we start to head up? So that's what we want to pay attention to. Good, strong move from the Qs this morning. Apple still not wanting to participate. This is a big warning flag. Apple is something that a lot of big players trade, so the fact that this is not seeing some extreme buying back at this point with all these divergences, that's not the best sign. Still can get positivity, though. Want to get into positive territory. Good morning, Junior. How you doing? Tesla starting to come back down. Actually came up into that zone just a little bit right now. Came back down in the pre-market here. NVDA seeing a tiny bit of positivity. Just want to pay attention to 800, 850. AMD seeing that positivity as well. See if these MACDs are able to fully curl up and hold in the first hour of the day, not fade or anything like that. Meta seeing that little pop. Really needs to take out this level of about 490 to head higher. See if that's able to see a good move today. Kind of depends on the narrative that people go with today. Depends on how the narrative's going, so I do want to maybe turn on Bloomberg.
Weaker against the euro off the back of the numbers, but on the session, that currency pair still negative.
Let's see what people are saying.
0.06% outperformance on a Russell.
Cutting from someone said cutting from here could lead to reinflation, and the answer is yes.
Hey Danny.
Hey John, shares of Paramount are up in the pre-market. The company predicted, quote, significant.
That's actually why they're not cutting. Is because they can invite reinflation. 0.4, is this better for the economy or not? I think better. 0.4 would mean that inflation is still going up. So inflation is still going up. All the work that the Fed has done, the slow moving work that you guys may have known from watching, I slightly disagreed with. I really think when you know there's a problem, you got to handle the problem, and then sure, you'll go through pain, but that pain will be shorter lived than what we're going to go through now. So now that we've decided to wait and take our time with all of this, we invite, something like this guy happening again, which is, where the heck are we? Which is right in here, right? 2018. From the monthly scale, actually, it's back a little bit here. So this right here, back around 1999 all the way to 2007, right? The financial crisis. This is what you're inviting to happen. You see that huge run up for a long time. Guess what? We just lost 50%. And then guess what? It takes us all the way till 2007 to reach that new peak. So you see it crash 1999, come, takes to 03. We crash for almost 3 years here. And then it takes us a long time to buy back. It takes you about 4 years. So the potential for some kind of drop that takes years to get back to the highs, and then maybe you experience another drop, you just got to say, if you bought around this area or around this area, well, it took you about 7 years to get that back, and then it was ripped away again. And then it took all the way up until 2013 to actually make money on that if you did hold it. So that's why we're really paying attention to the now. Sorry if you hear some crying in the background. We got baby girl. She was a little bit tough last night. Higher than expected. Market goes up. It was not technically higher than expected, guys. Just so you do know. This is the consensus there, and even this is what I'm saying. Like, this is why I said live yesterday. I said this needs to be at least 0.5 to see a bad reaction. The market has gone crazy up for a long time. You are going to need a pretty significant piece of bad news to actually send stocks lower. You need these really bullish people to be convinced that they should be hitting the sell button, and that's not happening with this data, at least at this point. Now, we are smart enough to know, hey, there's danger moving forward because of this data, because we know that it was 0.2. This just got revised to 0.1. We ticked up to 0.4. We haven't been at 0.4 for a long time. We haven't seen this 0.4 for a long time. So it's been about a year since we've seen a 0.4, and that's something to pay attention to, but this is why we want to follow that price action. But what did I say on, I think it was Sunday's video? I believe we're going to get a trap to the downside. Then we're going to get possibly a trap to the upside. And then we're going to start to see that ripped away, maybe with Jerome Powell in Congress. next week. Originally thought the PCE might be bad news for the market, but the way that the price action lined up, now you have potential for it to go either way. And if I'm still sticking to what I said on Sunday, well, then this is still your trap. And now we might go get another one, maybe before the day's even over, because this thing is moving. Now, what else did we say in last night's video? A lot of resistances up ahead, right? Resistance with this high. You got resistance at this high. You have resistance with the monthly. You have resistance with the daily expected moves here. So if we really wanted to be bullish, you want to probably gap above this area, get some kind of retest, and then keep going. So that's if we get extremely bullish today. And I'll be looking for that hourly divergence or 30-minute divergence. It's pretty wonky on the 30-minute. I'd probably pay attention to the hourly. Market, yeah. So if the market's not logical, okay, most people aren't logical with it. They see us hit the same number that's written on a piece of paper on the screen, right? And they say, oh, that's what we expected. Market go up. Good morning from the Lone Star State, Texas. Kelvin, nice to see you, man. All the markets, big manipulation. Government have only debt and private. Yes, so even the GDP. So if you want to know something unique about the GDP, this is why I watch other YouTubers, because fundamental side, I just think that people follow it a little bit better than me. In my opinion, I'm very good at the technical side, so I do watch other ones to see what their opinion is going into data like this. Well, let's look at GDP yesterday. Someone broke down GDP pretty good for me, and we grew by like almost 400,000, almost 400 billion we grew, right? So the thing is that they pointed out was they looked into the debt. So they said, how much debt did we have to create in order to generate that GDP of, I think it was like 384 billion. Well, we had to create $850 billion worth of debt. So when you weigh that, it's like you have more debt than you even made. You had to create more debt. It's really just ruining us from a credit standpoint. Something inputs out less time to due to inflation looking sticky and profit taking going into the weekend. I really think there will be some kind of profit taking just because there is news of that possible government shutdown, and that might happen after hours on Friday. So this weekend will be a little to take a trade because you could have some stuff happen. I think when PCE higher is good for the inflation. I read on the internet. PCE going higher is not a good thing for inflation. No, that is making me second guess myself. I haven't had my full coffee. I had it right. Today. Make sure to like the stream. Give us some likes on here, guys. Thank you for chatting with me. I know it's a big morning. I actually just found a stock. Was wondering what you thought about the technical symbol AJG. I think it's a trap up. Even the MACD is turning on the Q's 4-hour. Yes, so Sunday's video, if you guys do pay attention to all of my videos, have the notifications on. Trap. This is my opinion. There's some kind of trap down here. Then we get trapped up here. Now, I thought maybe this was going to be a bounce with the GDP, and then we'd get trapped for PCE. When that didn't happen, I changed my tone. Now I say PCE is most likely going to be a decent thing for the market, so you have to be open to the upside. But for a trader, this is kind of a nightmare. You have a cup and handle to the downside. You have the potential for this all to cup and handle up to here. So it's kind of like this could have went either way. Oh yeah, here I'll look at AJG real quick. We'll just do like a daily perspective on this. That on the hourly is looking like divergence. Coming to the upside here, so from a swing trader standpoint, you'd want to see some kind of beatdown at this point. Yes, this can keep running, but if I would have swing trade this, bought right around here in this level 234, I'd be looking at taking profit at the top of the Bollinger. That's just how I do things. 2 hour here, we're probably going to see some kind of divergence up here. All right, so you're forming that divergence. You got this flatness of the MACD ever since this high right here. Could tell you something's weakening. If bad news comes out, you might see some kind of pullback. So AJG looking like a good move here. Little A, B, and C pattern. Very, very nice. Good for swing trading above that 200. Apple still not seeing major positivity. Create a nice divergence on the 4 hour if we push up from the here to trap. No, I agree. That's overall why I'm leaning towards that. I pretty much thought in my head, hey, if this comes out anywhere near consensus, the market needs really bad news to roll over. Good AM from good PM. Stacks. I did read your email, Stacks. Did read your email. Thanks for emailing me. Hey, why read later? The internet. I don't know. Yeah, CPI is very obvious. PCE is actually PCE. Some people consider, and even the Fed has said that they pay more attention to the PCE. Okay, so the PCE actually ticking up from. So this is where we know things, but the market's not going to react correctly. They see hit consensus, good news. We see bar chart that's saying, hey, this was at point. The last time it was at 0.4 was a year ago, so it's ticking like this, and now we see that increase. That's actually not the best news for the overall market, but that doesn't mean the market has to react that way. They react because they see consensus that goes up. 442 and 450 is where I'm looking at reversals. Yeah, so if you just pay attention to the weekly expected move, you'd say, hey, if we get up, towards this weekly today, like if this sees some major strength today and people see this as really positive, because people have really been sitting on their hands this week, right? This is slight profit taking, very gradual, nothing crazy. Then we get some good news. You can see that explosiveness. So I want to pay attention to that. I'd really, my first area to pay attention to, pretty much that 439, 438, right in there. Next one, going to be that weekly range, that 444.73. Now, if we do not get outside of this with that divergence, say there's no government shutdown, maybe we actually do something like this. We see that flagging again. We could push a little higher next week. 450 for the Qs would not be a bad place to look for. But on Sunday, we'd give you those risk ranges on Patreon. Patreon, I don't know if, actually, I don't think it is down in the description. I got to fix that. Really got to fix that, guys. But yeah, so next week, if we aren't able to see any kind of selling this week and we don't get some kind of government shutdown, I would really start to think about it going to the top side of next week's range. And then we see some bad news with Jerome Powell talking as this PCE data he will be asked about. They will say this is a tick up in the PCE. They will say this is a tick up in the CPI. Are you in control? If he actually says what he said in the FOMC minutes, we need to sit on our hands until we're more in control of the inflation. That's not a good thing coming from the Fed. That is a bad thing coming from the Fed. They're not confident to cut. And someone said it this morning, if they cut too early, you invite the opportunity for inflation to come back very, very quickly, even worse than the first time. And right now we're seeing CPI tick up. We're seeing the PCE tick up both in a row. Whether it came in at consensus or not, this is a tick up. But the market doesn't have to read it that way, obviously. They can read it as, this is good news because this is what we expected. Let me edit this so I can get the link to Patreon on here, because those weekly moves are very, very useful for times like Okay, I gotta move my coffee. This is bugging me. All right, Patreon has been saved on there. Hopefully that updates pretty quick. Just refresh your page there and it should be good to go. We're going to see how the market reacts this morning. We're going to get most likely a little bit of a curl up. Keep liking, keep subscribing, do all that good stuff. If you subscribe today, you'll bounce up on the screen. A little happy guy will bounce up on the screen. That's always fun. Apple, just want to see no real strength coming from Apple. Amazon, no real strength coming from Amazon. Tesla, a little bit there. NVIDIA, a little bit there. AMD, a little bit there. Meta, a little bit there. So we got a few of them getting a bounce. But is that going to be enough to start to go to new highs on a lot of these charts? That's what we'll pay attention to. Do you think we'll ever get a pullback? Yes. But at that point, will it be a pullback? I think the fact that you haven't, like, we talked about this a little bit while this all was happening, right? We called this bottoming out on the SPY right around here, right? We saw these divergences down here. We saw it on Apple and things like that. We notified you that Apple was going to lead it. Boom, it goes higher. So we saw this diverge down here. We were bullish, okay? We were bullish throughout most of this. The only thing we would point out at times is we'd like to see more structure, or else we're inviting some of a crash. So if you actually were subscribed a few months ago, or even back when this low was being made back in October, my tone was actually, yes, we're going to see that bullishness. We could test that high up here, but we'd like to see some structure. So around here, I was stating, yes, I would like this to pull back down, test the 200, give us some kind of right shoulder. That structure would look better. It would extend us to here. Then we could blow past it, get a retest, go up again. Well, guess what? Now we're in an important area, a lot different timeline going into January. This actually happened it happened late November is when we actually got into this area. We could have tested this level around January 2024. Then we could blow past that, see some consolidation, blow past that, and our timeline would line up more with October. That's why I lean towards that. But once you see this big run, and it just hasn't had a significant pullback, I would say to the 50 at this point, you really would like this to, it remained above the 50 here, at least right here, come back, touch that 50, and then blow by this resistance. Because we moved up so fast, you're inviting more than a pullback. You're inviting a correction. You're inviting a crash. You're inviting a correction. You're inviting a rug pull, which could begin a bear market with the VIX looking like it does. So yes, I was originally like, hey, this could extend into October. We could go into all-time highs. Then we hit all-time highs, and I started to put out videos saying, hey, we hit all-time highs. This next first quarter of 2024 is going to be very important, because we have that all-time high narrative, and that's exactly what I said they would use in order to bait people in. Let me pull this up. It's easier to read. Crash 2002. Is to go drop the interest crash. Yeah, so when he drops interest rates, you do usually see stocks actually sell off. That's something that people don't really notice. When he announces the rate cuts, it's kind of a buy the rumor, sell the fact type thing. CPI March 12th, that is the probably last thing we need to pay attention to for this month. If this draws out till then, 5-star, that's even more worrisome, because we could be at even higher levels at that point. So really think we actually do want to at least see some kind of pullback if we're going to extend this into October. But do I believe it's going to extend in October? No, I think we're actually forming a top right now. I think we're forming a top, and it's going to be around the next few. Now, I'm just a guy with an opinion, and that's just the puzzle pieces I see being put together is that we're going to see some kind of topping out here. Doesn't mean we can't see some price fluctuation, some more volatile market where we're a little bit more up and down. But I think we're going to hit this high. You can always come and retest that high before, but then we're going to see some kind of significant drop CPI later 4 or 5 months. And that could be true. And that's why, you know, I'm willing to change my tone in my videos very often, because that's how I do with trading. I change a lot. If you guys know, I was bullish on Apple for a little bit, didn't see the strength, and now I'm like, oh, that's worrisome. Right now I'm looking into, say, like Meta, right? I was looking into Meta, looking for that cupping to the upside and a handle, because if this curls over in positive territory, I can see more positivity. And I have those weekly ranges for Meta this week, so I'm still in this as of right now, even though I got that rejection. Really wanted to see the reaction. I just had a gut feeling here, and 502.42 could be where I target. Most likely I'm going to target a little bit below that, go with like a 500, get that flat number. And Jan, or Jan, is it Jan? Jan? Really, I mean, if you're having that attitude towards it as well, just you're being patient, and that's good. Now, if you saw Saturday's video last Saturday, we talked about a lot of the monthly signals we're seeing. So on the monthly side, you can go into a negative trend soon, which could be very, very bad for the market. So that's where I'm saying we're inviting some kind of big drop, because the only times we've really had that monthly divergence, it's played out very, very bad for the market. It was there for 2007. It was there for even 2020 actually had a weekly divergence. So, you know, you do have these divergences. Now those weekly ones are starting to get erased. But the monthly ones still stand, and if we see that turn around, it could be bad things. And we all know how this is going right now. They have to keep the rates higher. We're still experiencing inflation, whether they like it or not. They just keep deleting things out of the data to make it look better. Inflation is still high, and they literally said they're not really feeling in control of it at this point, which is something very scary. The fact that they tell us, hey, FOMC minutes, we don't feel in control of inflation, and we are higher than when they said that. Like, we're higher than that point. With the FOMC minutes, they were higher at this point. So that's what's scary when you keep going up on this news that is really, really bad. It actually is really, really bad. The fact that the people who are supposed to be in control of inflation tell you we are not in control of inflation is a very bad thing. And yet we go higher. So yes, markets do not make sense, especially above the 200. They're going to be more bullish. Well, and you know, private money, you know, these could be hedge funds and things like that buying into this crap. Now, one thing I would say is just pay attention to what the insiders are doing. We have rapid insider selling as of right now. We have huge insider selling. Maybe I could pull that up in a little bit just to see what has been sold lately. If you guys want to do that, we can. It'd be fun. I like to look at what the big guys are selling. Yeah, it's a massive, massive problem. We all know these markets are manipulated in one way or the other, so. Good to see the tone. Refresh this. Let's listen to this for just a split second.
More like 3 cuts. I remind everyone that
yeah, 3 cuts. That's what they've said.
It's the average of all possibilities, and quite frankly, the Fed doesn't know what they're going to do. It really depends on how the data comes in, not just inflation, but on the growth side. So if things look very stable, we expect the Fed to start to normalize, which probably would result in 3 or 4 cuts this year.
Okay.
2025. However.
Yeah. All right, so you guys want to see something fun? You know, we were just talking about, you know, insider selling. Let's look at this one right here, the 28th, which was yesterday. Zuckerberg selling almost $1 billion worth of Facebook. All right, so that's one thing. Roblox, we got a good sell in there. You can kind of scroll down and see some other stuff too. But for the most part, Robinhood, the CEO of Robinhood just sold $7.5 million. That's something to say. And from there, we just know that last week, Amazon, we had, what's his name? Jeff Bezos selling $8 billion worth of Amazon in the last about 10 trading days. Gosh, excuse me. So you see Zuckerberg sold millions and millions, almost $1 billion worth of Facebook, but Facebook go up. Or Meta, sorry, that great name, Meta. He sells almost $1 billion worth of Meta, and Meta's going up, which tells you that he is selling to probably retail traders at this point, and retail traders are the ones pushing this higher. Yeah, so the spending level of us just funneled money. You know, when you get free money, you usually spend it, is how most people react. So when we did get free money for the past few years, it all went back into, honestly, Amazon's pocket. And then at the same time, we just keep making new bills in Congress that cost us billions and billions, if not trillions of dollars, and that debt keeps going higher. And that debt crisis might be a big deal. I believe it was China or something like that was downgraded on their credit rating. And that could happen to us again. A lot of retailers will be stuck at the top. Yes, I agree, 5-star. I really do think I got this a little bit right. Yes, I was a little wrong on the PCE being the bad news, but still have the trap. We stayed strong with that narrative. Now we believe some kind of trap is coming very soon, and then we have to see if that trap extends for a few days. If we start to extend for a few days, and then we see that roll around. That could be a big thing. I'm just looking for any kind of hourly divergence up here. That divergence can give me a little bit of a hint.
As long as they're receiving severance, and so that would be the lag possibility, that it shows up a few months.
Yeah, these
down
people
the road.
have to be fake.
Gershon, I look at treasuries and equities. I mean, we're in a suspended spate of euphoric animation.
Someone said they will QE again.
And then I look at the treasury market. So you've got this mellifluous drift higher in equities.
Someone says raise rates for sake.
So suddenly we're back in a quasi-traditional relationship. We popped it into a
or what'd they say?
years.
Cut rates. Nope, they
Again,
said
this
raise
brings me
rates.
to the bond side of the equation. Inflation,
Weirdly enough.
inflation continues. There are no
Oh wait, he's saying
market, but with a disinflation narrative and 3 cuts penciled by the market, is this still time to pick up maybe a hedge in treasuries as well as coupon?
Look, I do think that you point out the negative correlation is a good thing for markets. That's a normal thing. You know, when the 10-year was at 1.5%, you weren't going to get that much. And for me, it's really a function of time. Right, the longer that you know short-term rates are elevated, just the greater probability that something is going to break.
yes, we've talked about this. Finally, someone's saying it.
Right, even though even if things are okay, the Fed is going to normalize because they know you don't have to have an event. You know, just stuff is going to break. Companies are going to have
know it.
Debt at higher rates.
Yeah, the commercial real estate is pretty
so the Fed is
screwed up right now.
Is going to end up cutting regardless of what we.
There you go. Like, even he's saying exactly what we've been saying for about a couple weeks now. Actually, we've said this pretty much since they did one rate cut. I've been saying this for a long time, actually, how they cut rates because something breaks. They need a disinflationary event. They need deflation, a deflationary event. And that's why this thing going up, it could just tear down because something could break along the line. and the Fed gets away with being so vague in their talking that it really screws people up. Volume of the news is so low I can't hear it. I can turn it up next time.
Everyone thinks that, we look at it's tighter than average. Well, it actually, spreads are tighter than average about 75% of the time. Or said another way, right, the median is a lot lower than the mean. A year ago, I was sitting here and pounding the table that credit was cheap.
That should be a little bit better.
Not cheap today. It may even be on the expensive side.
But we don't need to listen to that now. He already said what we wanted to hear. We already were told just now. Oh, someone crying. We were already told, he's just reiterating what we've talked about on this channel. Hey, they're going to cut rates, and by the time they cut rates, it's probably because something's breaking. Thanks for telling me, Jandis, by the way. Or Drew. Appreciate you. Well, we're going to have a good day. We're going to watch this for a little bit. I really do. We're going to watch this for a decent amount this morning. So stick around with us. Make sure to like. Let's get some more people in here. Get some hype in this chat. Get some hype in the like button. See if we're able to break through resistance. See if we're able to gap above it going forward. How's IWM doing? IWM popping off a little bit here. Almost up 2%. So small caps like this news. That is very interesting. That's a solid move right there. Apple's still not participating. This is still your red flag at this point. Little bit of a red flag. Apple not participating. Amazon not participating. Tesla still up a tiny bit, 1.27%. NVIDIA up 1.5%. AMD up about 1.5%. And Meta sitting at about a 1% gain. So we do have a lot going on. A lot of things seeing little bounces, but some things not wanting to participate. A little bit on the worried side if Apple's not participating. Apple's a very, very important stock. After PCE, I think Tesla runs into problems in this area up here. That's what I've mainly said, and I'm going to stick to it. My calls haven't been too bad for the last couple of weeks, so up in this area, this is where people can hit that sell button, especially if we get there pretty quick. But look for this. It could extend for quite some time. You're still in some wedging. If we wanted to see extreme bullishness, we could come up and treat this as some kind of channel at this point. So a lot of things to pay attention to. Really want to pay attention to right up here, that 207.42. See what the reaction is like from there. As of right now, you got that divergence on the 30-minute. Okay, so you have divergence on the 30-minute right here. If we can get that divergence to extend one more time, I'd really like that. I'd really like this triple divergence. Show me some selling coming in, but that might be too quick, and we might see that kind of extend out. So the cues on the 30-minute, actually, we can pay attention to the 30-minute. The only thing with the 30-minute is since there's more of them, you have the potential for, multiple points of divergence before that comes down. We want to pay attention to most of these charts being the 30-minute and the hourly. And then if we start to see a sell-off in any kind of way, some kind of gap and trap, really just want to say pay attention to, pay attention to possibly higher time frames, because we could be seeing a lot of things start to confirm and go negative over the next few days. But good morning, 14 minutes till open. Tell me your plays for the day. What do you think is going to happen? Did you expect this pop when we overall were discussing some kind of trap down here, some kind of trap up here? Just this moving sideways like this, sideways and down. Yes, we did fill that cup, got that handle, but that good news shook this the other way. Looking for that MACD to curl up most likely on this hourly chart here in positive territory. That means if we curl up in positive territory, good shot that we actually come up and test this high. Good shot actually that we make a new one, maybe even ending outside of this range by end of day. So really what we want to pay attention to in the morning is this right here. Are we able to see that resistance come in at this very important level with a lot of resistances? Daily, monthly, high, lot of resistance up here. So we have to break through those levels in order to head higher. I know everyone's interested in NVIDIA and things like that. NVIDIA 787 to open here in about 13 minutes if that holds. Up 1.37% with that news. We saw that cup. We got that little handle. But guess what? That news came out as good. So these technicals don't try to take an early trade. You need this to break this level. Didn't break through. Now we're seeing positivity. See if that's able to curl up in positive territory. Good shot. We go up towards something like 835. Really want to pay attention to 800 in the morning. If this gets up to 800, that's going to be the most important level, because if that starts to hold above there, these people down here around 750 go underwater. Now it comes in line. Everyone's freaking out. Alan, just so you are aware, it comes in line. People, yeah. Are you saying that you're confused? People are bullish? I just want to get it right, Alan. I don't want to comment on anything that you're typing if I don't know exactly what you're saying. 2 times CPI and PCE backfired. Now it comes in line. Everybody's freaking out. Yes, okay, so you're saying maybe there is a bullish sentiment now because CPI came in higher than expected, but PCE actually came in line. Maybe I have that correct as it goes now. Now, the thing about it being in line, this could be a big trap because this is in line, but it's ticking up by 0.4, which is higher than the previous, which was readjusted down to 0.1. So you're going from 0.3, 0.1, 0.1, now 0.4. So we're seeing that really tick up. We haven't seen a 0.4 increase since a year from now, or a year in the past. Not from now. That'd be crazy if we knew. If we knew there's going to be increases in inflation a year in advance. That'd be great for us. We'd know the future. Jeez. He is not happy right now, guys. We have 11 minutes to open. Make sure to smash that like button. We're just going to pay attention to this MACD, see if that's able to roll up with this push here. If that actually is able to hold at higher levels, really needs to break through here, come test this high. But if this is able to curl up and actually hold, you know, meaning we get that green bar and we don't immediately see a fade, or we get a green bar and then that fades in the same hour, we can actually hold and break through this, see some consolidation down, maybe head to higher levels. PCE came out good. Looks like we gonna keep ripping up. And yes, the initial reaction is good. That's great. How's pre-market reacting? It's good news for the market right now, coming in as expected. And I think that's the overall thing, is it came in at expected. It came in at the consensus there at 0.4. That's initially good news. But when you really think about it, it's not the best news. Now, that being said, we're still holding, you know, I can keep saying that, but my still theory was trap down here, trap up here, and then we see the rug pull if it's going to happen this week or going on into next week. So we'll be live a lot next week. Going to probably have some Jerome Powell up. We're going to watch that for a little while. See if we want to maybe not do live in the morning, but do a live once Jerome Powell is actually in Congress there, answering some questions, because he's got a lot to answer. He's got a lot to answer, guys. Sunshine, sunshine. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you subscribing, Sunshine. So this can be a bull trap. Eventually, we dip. That's my thinking, because and I know maybe you weren't here early on in the morning. But my thinking with this, and someone can combat me on that. I'm open to thinking a little differently. My thinking with this is core PCE. Yes, we came in at consensus. Now the previous, look at the previous. It was adjusted to 0.1. That could be good news for people as well, right? That still can be good news. This got cut in half. It was 0.2. Now it's 0.1. But we come in at consensus. If we look at the bars here, once again, last year was when we saw the last 0.4. We've been trending really down with these low numbers. Boom, we see that skyrocket up all of a sudden. Not a good sign. It's really not a good sign. But as we come in at consensus, people will see that as exciting, because they've been waiting for good news all week, right? This is just a little bit of profit taking sideways angle. This is not dramatic selling. This is actually just flagging. We could head a little bit higher if we get any kind of good sentiment. And that is exactly what happened this morning with us coming in at consensus. CPI ticked up from consensus. This did not. So people can see that as good news initially. But overall, that is not the best news to tick up by 0.4 when you've been going below 0.4 every single month. Macro policy perspectives.
Reflect any concern about the dollar or the stability of the United States, at least not yet. The dollar is very strong. So I don't really think it's an issue, the main issue for markets. The market
Rolled over, negative territory getting reached, maybe on the VIX soon. We could see some pop in here.
I think it's really more about the resiliency, stability, and strength of the U.S. economy. And that so far has continued to outperform. So,
this is a comedy.
I really don't think that the deficit is the main or will become the main issue in the election.
No, I mean, there is something relative to the rest of the world.
No, it won't become the main issue in America because that is the issue that should be brought up in America, but they're going to distract you as much as possible with some kind of gender stuff, with some kind of anything that is not related to the actual problem our country has, which is the deficit. Are you heading out? Sorry about that, guys. Baby girl and mama are going to see grandma today. They're hanging out over at grandma's house, so I get to hang out with you guys. We got 4 minutes till open. Sorry I'm out of breath. It's just that baby girl's getting a little heavier and mama can't. She's small. She's small. She's like 4'11", guys. Okay. Shawty. So Ari's a little bit heavy for her. So Ari's my daughter, if you didn't know. And she's a little bit heavy. She's a newborn, but she's getting heavier every week. We have a doctor's appointment today. I'm going to not be able to go to that. Going to hang with you guys. All right, let's see. How excited are we going into today? Going to be a wild, wild day. We're going to start to see some price fluctuation, most likely. Good morning, Jorge Rosales. Let's go. Gotta find some royalty-free music just to blast some tunes right before the open. You guys don't want to hear the music I listen to. Why am I so out of breath after doing that? It's cold out, too. It's cold. Ooh, I needed to put on a jacket before doing that. That was cold. Okay, let's see if we can find anything. These yields coming down. TLT starting to pop. This is something, weirdly enough, this is something I told my mom, I'm really worried about my family's retirement and things like that. And I'm just trying to convince them, hey, take the penalty, get the fuck out. They're like, this is all the way up here. Get out, get that big chunk out. Even pay the was it like 7% or something penalty? Like, because you got hundreds of thousands of dollars in there, and that could be worth half over the next few years. Which is actually what I told them at the last top. I told them at the last top they should do that, and their account went down by $180,000 in that downturn. Stayed in it, and then they actually did not get all the way back up to their current number or their previous number from that high. A little bit surprising. Sketchy stuff, though. That's why I like to trade my own money. 401k, that's great. They just make so many penalties and fees for you to get out, so I control my own money. That's just how I roll. But you got matching and stuff like that. That's kind of a good thing. Apple, any strength? No strength from Apple, guys. NVIDIA, any strength? A little bit more strength from NVIDIA, guys. Parents did the same. Unfortunately, my dad did so, but when the market was down in 2022. See, that's the opposite time. When you feel all happy-go-lucky because your numbers are green, that's actually when you should hit the sell button. And when you're really, really scared it can go lower, that's usually when you should hit the buy button. That's one of the craziest things about the stock market is your emotions are literally probably 75% of the battle. If you have a good amount, like a decent amount of knowledge, say the stuff that we overall are looking at today, you say you just know what the MACD does from a daily or weekly perspective, and you know what the RSI does from a daily or weekly perspective, I'd say weekly, then you would know like, oh, this is way overextended. I'm very much so in the profit here. I'm going to sell. Oh, this is curling up on a weekly in positive territory. I should buy. Even though everyone's saying it's going to crash, let me just start off with an investment here. So it's just that emotional game, that mental game. All right, opening up, we're going to watch an hourly here just because we want to see if this MACD is able to turn up the Qs already at that daily expected move. Now, this isn't the worst thing. We have to blow by it for the bullish side, tap into the top of it, and then see that kind of continue. So something to pay attention to there. If we are going to reverse from here, this could be our trap. Look for that to reject early on in the morning. The only other way that we could reject after this is actually if we create that small divergence now and we see that come back down. That will not be the best news for the market. Now, if we do see that pop a little bit higher, I want you to pay attention to something for the future here, which we're starting to get to that resistance. But I want you to see this base. This was my thinking if we did go higher, okay? If we actually go higher, say we come up and create some kind of trap here, do we actually pop higher, see that drop down, and then get some kind of bounce like this? Guess what? We have a little head and shoulders here on the hourly. That would be a great idea to keep in mind. As far as now goes, we are hitting our resistance level. That is the resistance between these highs here. We have the monthly resistance and we have that daily resistance, and we are really going past it at this point. Big movers. NVIDIA about to get to that 800 spot, up 2.28. AMD up 2.41. So pay attention to those weekly ranges for the individual stocks on my Patreon. If you don't have those as of right now for the individual stocks, check out my description down below there. Just scroll down a little bit, look for it. Cup of coffee a month pretty much gets you to trading better. That's the best part. It gets you those ranges. So then we know, hey, if we get excited and get up to this area for the day, this is all the market has expected. You might say, hey, just to be safe here, because that data did come out and we could be having Jerome Powell talk, we could be having government shutdown. This is actually where people might start to hit that sell button a little bit. Okay, this is all the options market have priced in. Now, I told you my opinion is we're going to see this rip outside of one of these directions. And is this the right direction for now? In the first 2 minutes of trading, yes, it is. So, we're talking about Salesforce over here.
But sales growth is going to soon be the key as well. The company is attempting to address in a number of ways. The stock over the last
Give me
year,
2 seconds. I'm still here. I'm still here. I promise.
So investors at this point, they're going to want to see.
I can hear and see you guys typing.
Some of the excess numbers to make the bottom line look better. They're going to actually want to see more growth on top two, Manus.
Abby, thank you very much. The magic words, dividends and
I can hear.
in this earnings season. Let's stick with that because we've got Weight Watchers. The stock is plunging. This is after Oprah Winfrey said that she's preparing to leave the board. Natalia Kunijevic joins me now. The power of Oprah. Good morning, Natalia.
The power of Oprah.
Yes, Oprah joined the board in 2015, but this is not just related to Oprah's departure. The company posted disappointing guidance for the full year. They expect a big drop.
Yeah, I don't really care about WW International, guys. I'm sorry. I just don't. Any more big movers as of this morning? Let's see what Snow ended up doing. Really want to see what Snow ended up doing. Because it is way, way down. So you really got to hold up on Snow. You got this right here, the 200. Looks a lot like Palo Alto. We're going to say a similar thing. I don't know when this will stop selling, though. But when it does, a lot of the time when you get outside of these Bollinger Bands, we like to see some kind of reconnection with the 50, the 20, the 9, or most likely it's the 5. Okay, so if you want to go onto here, if you guys are using something like this, just put it down to a 5. And that really the 5? The 5 is still all the way up here. So you could see a reaction from here to reconnect with the moving averages before we want to actually head lower. I like my 9 for today, so I'm just going to switch that back. And let's go down to an hourly here. Sorry about that. He is getting past those resistances just a little bit. Let's see if it's able to see that full extension there. Meta hitting 488. Looking for that to hit somewhere around 500, I believe, would be a great number for Meta to hit this week. Hit one of those whole numbers. See some selling come in with those whole numbers. What do you guys think? Are we going to blow past this and go towards those weekly ranges? Or are we going to see this kind of ripped away in the middle of the day? I want to see what you guys are thinking. About to cross up. This is mainly what we're paying attention to here is this crossing up. I can't really pay attention to the 30-minute. It just got a little bit wonky. So a little bit hard to pay attention to the 30-minute. Now the 30-minute is good to see the cup and handling, so we can leave it here for just a little bit better, little bit more bars here. So if you really want to head higher, we actually could see a handle right where we're at. I think you even maybe want to come up a little higher so you can hold above this, use it as support to go a little bit higher here. Good part is we took back these moving averages on a lot of charts. So good stuff all around for the most part. We got our first trap. Are we going to get the second one? Are we going to call this pretty well this week by saying there would be a trap down, a trap up, and then the Fed, or not the Fed, then the government shutdown happens and we see some of that selling come in. Maybe Jerome Powell comes out next week and does some damage control. You never know, but I think if they ask the right questions next week, it could get pretty ugly for stocks because Jerome Powell, in the last FOMC minutes, holy crap, I can't believe they actually said, like, we don't feel like we're in control of inflation and we have to wait to cut rates until we're in better control. So they said, like, we have to wait on cutting rates until we're in better control. How you can read that in a different way is we are not in control, therefore we cannot raise or cut rates. That's how I see it. Maybe that's a little pessimistic. I don't know. All right, seeing that resistance come in. This is where we expect it, so we're going to struggle to get through this little level here. Apple finally up 0.4. Actually going green here. Nothing else really to talk about. I mean, you got NVIDIA up to... Oh, NVIDIA getting towards that 800 number. Very, very important number here. Here's where you really want that cup to complete. A little bit above 800, but maybe right at 801. So if this can complete, or if we can blow by that, watch out for 835. We could head there pretty quick. We have to get by it first. Uh-oh, dollar moving up. Who caught that? Dollar currently negative on the day. Kind of in what would be indecision. Wants to hold, like the thing is, it wants to hold above this 200. The other thing to mainly think about with the dollar is, boom, it's going up. What'd the market do? Boom, the market went up. That shouldn't be happening. When we see the dollar go up, we should see the stock market going down. And that's not necessarily happening right now, which means someone is on the wrong end of this trade. That's what it means. It really does. It means someone is buying these stocks at high prices, and I am going to bet, considering we just talked about insiders selling billions of dollars, I'm going to bet it is the insiders are the ones holding heavy on the dollar. Switch it back down to, let's go back down. Let's do a 30-minute. We'll do a 30-minute, get a little bit more price action. Seeing that resistance come in, not the worst sign. You just don't want it to give up all of the gains. We still could dip back down into this liquidity here. We built up some good stuff. Maybe this is our left. Guess what? Maybe this is our left shoulder here. Maybe this is all just a big head at this point, and we actually make a right shoulder. This little dip down would be good to grab this liquidity on the way up. So there is potential here, but this is where we were expecting that fight. That's why I was saying I really like a gap above this, because then you can use it as support. So now we have to, during the market hours here, we have to blow by it to really get bullish on this. And I just think it's simple, right? Watch this hourly. If this curls up, most likely going to see positivity. Is that going to last very long? Because, you know, this isn't very overextended here on the hourly. Is this going to last into next week? Very well could, especially if this gets some really good strength. We could see that divergence next week, or even going into CPI. So as of right now, it's just this level of the RSI isn't that high up. So we could easily surpass that if we see that strength really come in. But PCE came in 0.4 at consensus, and that's why we're seeing it as good news. But we saw that readjustment as well from 0.2 to 0.1 on the last reading. Pretty good news actually for the market to see that adjusted down to 0.1, but seeing an increase of 0.4 all of a sudden, we haven't seen that since this time last year. Sorry, my nose was running a little bit, and I don't like to wipe it with my hand all the time. It's gross. You got one new sub with Sunshine. Make sure to smash that like button for me. It really helps out the channel, helps get us, get this community growing. Haven't crossed on this MACD yet. This could still reject and go into negative territory, okay? So if that starts to happen, kind of watch out below. Got some 200 puts on. Oh, dang it. The Ajax, type one more thing. I always have a little heart in the way of a word. It's literally the stock ticker. Is that Goog? Looks like CO. Lots of 200 puts on something on that mess yesterday. Coin. There we go. There's the one more thing. Thank you. Yeah, if it's not rolling. Coin. Okay, so puts on the 200. Let's see that 2 hour. I think we were looking at a 2 hour for you. Really want to be patient. See if this is able to cross. Not a bad place to do it. You just haven't seen that confirmation. So this is still a bullish move. You're not necessarily seeing that signal confirm yet, but it easily can soon. I think that people, once they actually read into this data, it is not the best news. You're seeing a 0.4 increase. Smashed. Thank you. Thank you, Sunshine. I appreciate that. So IAX, the one thing I would just say here is just be a little bit careful if you start to exceed this high. It might just be a time, hey, get out for a quick moment, get back in for a quick moment. It's not saying your trade is incorrect, wrong. I don't know what your overall reasons for taking this trade. But I would just tell you, be a little bit patient, because we do have some stuff here that can really start to break up, right? We do have this, but you do have the potential here for this to extend for some time. So be a little bit careful here. Wait for some key levels to break. If these key levels start to break through, target the next liquidity zone. Target the next liquidity zone. That's all I would say. But this has to curl over first, so you really need that resistance to start coming in. EITO just taken off, I'm sure. And Bitcoin's still up towards 63,000. That's pretty crazy. See, we have a 2-hour here, but this 2-hour could extend into next week now that this sentiment is here, and it's good if we don't get any kind of bad news with some kind of shutdown. And you're welcome. I don't mind looking at stuff every once in a while. As long as the chat's not going absolutely insane, I don't mind looking at stuff every once in a while. And if that's at all helpful, there's always smashing the like button and all that good stuff. That helps me out a little bit, all right? All right, I am going to just refuel coffee and use the restroom real quick, all right, guys? So I will be right back. I'm going to turn on Bloomberg for you, just so you guys have something to hear while I'm gone.
If you think about it as a z-score between -1 and +1,
I will be right back. 2 seconds. 2 minutes, Turkish.
Typically, when there is euphoria, you would expect to see equity positioning all the way at the top. We are clearly not there. In fact, we are kind of where we were basically in July, and maybe a teensy bit lower, teensy bit higher. So, the aggregate measure of equity positioning does not suggest euphoria. I think from a demand supply point of view, in terms of thinking about equities, you've got to think basically about the other drivers in the demand supply. And I would highlight really buybacks, which are, enormous driver from a demand supply point of view historically. And what is going on with buybacks is that in 2022, so all the way back in 2022, when earnings were falling, buybacks also fell. But in 2023, as earnings recovered, buybacks did not. So there's a lot of room for buybacks to rise. We can discuss, why buybacks didn't rise. But I think the key point here is that what we got from Q4 earnings is that buybacks are now picking up. So they have room basically to rise. And they're a very important driver, basically, I would say.
Binky, fantastic context around the overuse of euphoria. If you look at it through the prism with which you have just presented, it gives me heart for deployment into one more rally in this market. Binky, thank you very much. That is Binky. Chadha, over at Deutsche Bank, be careful how abused you are with the word euphoria coming up on the show. Bitcoin reaches for that record high.
It's a bullish environment when it comes to Bitcoin. I think it speaks to just overall risk-on environment that we're seeing from tech and others, where unless you have a telescope, it's hard to find this recession.
Conversation ahead on Bloomberg.
Welcome to the world of decentralized finance.
You can see the massive gains for the OG crypto coin.
The breakout we have all perhaps long awaited finally realized. We'll see if it sticks.
Bloomberg's covering all things crypto, the people.
There's no question its industry is composed of some bad actors and some good actors.
The transactions.
Volumes have surpassed $24 billion per day.
And the technology.
And we're back.
Technology, start demonstrating
we're refueled.
Bloomberg Crypto, Tuesdays.
Ready to go.
Is Bloomberg Surveillance.
Not breaking through resistance yet.
Jonathan Farrow and Lisa Abramowitz.
It was unimaginable that we would see rates move this fast. That was not in the realm.
I had to scoot my chair.
Just the timeline of what they knew and when they knew it. Why didn't they do anything about it?
When do we have to see?
What have these guys been talking about?
For the Fed to respond to it, and this is really the tension.
The music's coming, so now we know. Hey, they're not talking anymore. The music's coming. Ooh, oh my gosh, it's chilly out. Where I'm at, you know, I don't know if anyone's from Kansas, but it can be 71 degrees one day and 71 degrees for 3 days, and then randomly out of the blue, now it's 25, 30 degrees outside. Yikes. And Lucas is not a fan of the cold. He's really not. He's really not, guys. I'm sure everyone else, I'm sure some of you guys live somewhere where it's a little colder than it is here, but God, I like the cold. Oof. Okay, interested to see the VIX coming down. Let's see where that gap fill is just so we can have a number to pay attention to. Somewhere around 1290. Okay, so 1290 is what we'll look for there. SPY coming up into resistance as well. Remember on the 30-minute here, maybe even let's look at a 5-minute so we can really see the structure of the Qs. You notice that this officially has seen that cup pretty much formed right where you want it to. Right at the most resistance, we have that cup being formed right at the most resistance, right at the resistance here. So you do have that cup and handle possibility. Boom, big cup like this. If we can get that handle start to move upward right now on this 5-minute chart here. So I'm going to pull back just to a 15. Let's keep it on the shorter time frame. Able to get into positive territory. A lot of divergences down here. So boom, technicals would tell you 15-minute wise, hey, there's a lot of divergences between these lows. Boom, we get a pop higher with that good news. So that's great. We do need that good news a lot of the time behind these divergences. We need a lot of bad news behind the negative divergences. So something to pay attention to. PanW, so Palo Alto going a little bit negative here as of right now. Google, solid bounce from Google here, right where we want it to happen. Boom, that level right there, that 137, 136, 90. Boom, we see that positivity come in. So good positivity there. AMD up 3.25, good positivity there. See if that's able to curl up this hourly. That's a good move. Hourly just curled up on AMD. See if that's able to break through. This is going to be the key resistance level right up in here. Pretty much this little zone up here between these two highs going to be very important moving forward. You'd like to see us blow past, retest, go a little bit higher. So that's something to pay attention to. NVIDIA starting to fade off, okay, not crossing. So AMD crossing, getting a little excited. NVIDIA not confirming that, actually touching 799.12. 800, the very, very important number here. So that's something to pay attention to moving forward. But the overall Qs, we can see not wanting to confirm that either at this point. Good, strong move. We can hold up in this area. But you really want to see some of those MACDs starting to confirm, get a strong move going into Friday. But the Qs, as of right now, the Qs would make total sense to end exactly where they are right now. So just so you guys know, daily range and monthly range, today's the last day of the month. So this area right here, pretty important to land. And really, all this right here would make total sense. This one makes a little bit less sense, but right now this makes total sense to land in this area by end of day today. And then we'll go into tomorrow. Tomorrow, if you tune back into our video tonight, our YouTube video tonight, we are going to be giving you the daily risk ranges for Friday for every single stock that we cover on this channel, and we're going to make that a regular thing on the Patreon down in the description. So if you want to get the daily ranges every single Thursday night for the Friday, pretty important with your options expiring on Friday. I felt like that was a good idea to see what the options market has priced in for a lot of these stocks on Friday. And as we're seeing a pretty big upward move, we can see possibly a lot of those risk ranges kind of spreading out. They spread out just a tiny bit today. Really not that big of a move. That's what I was saying in my video last night. Really not that big of a expected move for the day. So is this going to tell us, hey, yeah, if we see that extreme positivity, we can start to see that gamma take over. We can start to see this level here broken through, but resistance coming in as of right now. Apple not confirming the move, only up 0.13. Tesla actually up only 0.58 now. So NVIDIA 793, AMD still looking strong. So NVIDIA, we need that above 800. What do we think Jerome Powell is going to say next week? What kind of questions would you like to see him asked? I mean, I know we probably come up with better questions than they do, but I really hope that they specifically ask him, hey, we saw the CPI tick up. Now we've seen the PCE tick up. How is that affecting your decision making moving forward? Is this making you want to even raise rates or keep them level for even longer? And then that would really put the correct narrative in people's minds. They are going to have to hold for longer, and they're most likely going to hold higher for longer until something breaks. So what do you guys think needs to be asked from Congress to Jerome Powell next week? What is one question, if you could, what would you ask him? And it can't be what's the stock market going to do over the next 3 months. It can't be that, but I know we wish we could ask him stuff like that, but it can't be that. Starting to... Ooh, good one. How is Congress allowed to trade insider trader at AF? Yeah, so I was actually watching someone break down what those politicians are doing right now. A lot of them hitting the sell button on a lot of things. So I'm tempted to go look at that Twitter page that says, what is Nancy Pelosi doing? Yeah, you said it right as I said it, aka that raisin Pelosi. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi, very, very popular for figuring out what her husband is doing. One scary thing that someone did bring up is there is and I think, I feel embarrassed to say, I believe Johnny Bravo said it, okay? I don't watch his videos all the time, but we talked about him a few days ago, so I watched one of his videos, I believe it was yesterday or two days ago. I think it was 2 days ago. And he overall pointed out, he's like, how interesting, we have kind of a cyber attack and then, or cyber something happen, cyber outage of some sort. And then we have all of the most important people, Bill Gates and all these guys meeting for some kind of wedding. And during COVID, the last one was like some kind of award show. And then right after the award show, all of them came out and said that we have a huge problem. Very interesting to point out, obviously very speculative. Very speculative, but yeah, just something interesting to think about. These world leaders get into the same room at the same time. Are they all really friends with whoever's wedding it is? Or is it a chance for them to get together that we wouldn't expect them to talk about certain stuff? What type of financial event would cause you to lower rates? Bank crises, credit ratings, bank crises. So the rates higher for longer really, really hurts the bank system, okay? Because they can't lend money, therefore they cannot grow the money supply, because that is how money is created. So if they can't do that, then they go underwater. They also have bad loans as of right now that are at higher rates because of this rate raising campaign. A lot of commercial real estate already starting to default. What type of financial event would cause? The thing is, I'm answering that question. Jerome Powell would not answer that question. He would say, like, we could see some hiccups in the banking system, but as of right now, they're really looking pretty strong. We're actually seeing a lot of strength, and we're seeing that GDP. He's going to talk about things most likely positively because he doesn't want to scare anyone. He doesn't want to be the reason for us to have to go through some sort of correction, some sort of crash. He doesn't want to be that reason, in my opinion. That's why they stay so vague. At the end of the day, you got to think he has a job. and he wants to keep that job, most likely. So why would he say things that shake up the market? But if people ask the right questions and he has to answer, and he answers truthfully, then we can see something pretty bad. So, but that would be a good idea to ask. I just don't think he would give you the straight answer. But we have credit card defaults that are coming up because people are defaulting. A lot of people are using credit cards to get into the stock market. A lot of people are using credit cards to cover their bills right now. A better question. Do you know what you're doing? Well, according to him, no. According to how they handle the situation, no. They go strictly based off of data. And the fact that they've said that is actually a scary thing. Because oh shoot, just skip my brain. The fact they said that is a scary thing because we are seeing CPI and PCE lift up. So now they can leave those rate raises on the table, and that's kind of a scary thing. But if they cut rates right now and something isn't breaking in the system, that's why they're not cutting rates. Nothing is broken, and they just saw upticks in CPI. So they can't raise rates based on how they're telling you they're playing with the rates, right? Because we saw CPI tick up. Whether you like it or not, from a last reading to this reading basis, we ticked up from 0.1, which got adjusted to 0.1, from 2 to 0.1. We actually went up to 0.4 this time. So 0.4 increase, that would tell me, hey, they're looking at this data. They kind of would say, we haven't had a 0.4 increase in the last year, so we can't cut rates. If they have to raise rates, that's most likely to fight further inflation. We could go through an extreme inflationary event if we do not see, actually, if they cut rates, we would see extreme inflationary events, and they know that. So they have to keep these rates higher. When you keep the rates higher, you put banks and credit stuff under a lot of stress. Do we have Fed speakers today? We have Fed Bostic 9:50, Goolsbee 10 a.m. Then we have Fed Mester at 12:15. We have to see if this is damage control in some way. I'll see if we can pull some of those up maybe, because we will be on till about 11 a.m. this morning. So we got about 2 hours left on this stream. Make sure to stay for that last 15 minutes where we do run through what the stocks are doing throughout the day. Some interesting stuff compared to what we've seen so far this week. This week, kind of dry, kind of boring, but we overall said they're going to trap some bears down here. Now they're going to trap the bulls in some way. Yeah, little AR-15, I highly think that they will say this is bullish. They do not want people to know if anything is breaking in the system. I think they will maybe continue that narrative they did after CPI. If you remember, right after CPI, they were talking about how a tick up in inflation is a good thing sometimes. That is the craziest thing I've ever heard. The fact that someone comes out and we have rates where they're at and inflation's ticking up, and right, we got that reading in February for January. I've worked sales in January. Do you know how dull January can be? Do you know how dull January can be? Why? Because people just spent all their Christmas money. The only thing you see in January is people who use their gift cards. In January, you get Christmas just happened. We spent a bunch of money. We don't want to spend a bunch of money. Let's wait for tax season. That's the mental you get in January. Let's wait for that tax return. Tell me I'm wrong. Is it because election year? What about the election year? Be a little bit more specific. The only thing working in January is the gym. Yeah, gym, nutrition, things like that. Anything that's kind of a new start, fresh beginning type thing, they will. But those are lower cost items. A lot of people don't come out in January and buy a car. A lot of people in January don't come out and buy furniture. A lot of people in January don't come out and buy a house. So a lot of the time people wait for the springtime to make those big purchases. And just retail in general usually struggles. Is it election year to keep the market up? It could be. It very well could be. And that's why I overall, my first inclination of this going into October might be correct if we keep going. I think if we see some kind of pullback correction here, then we do still have that potential, but you do have the potential once you do get that correction to just keep going, because those monthlies start to cross over. If it extends to the downside for a couple months, you can see some of those crossings happen. Sure, you can get some bounces through that, but you might already be in a bear market. So I really think we're actually going to, my opinion has changed over the last couple months. If you remember, I was overall stating October. Now I'm really saying, hey, this thing's moving up way too fast. If we go to all-time highs, I said we were going to hit all-time highs come October, come the summer before, keep going. And I've changed that because we started to get to a point where I was like, man, we could see all-time highs. That's going to be the trap, most likely, is all-time highs. It's just not happening in October. It's happening sooner, which opens the door for a little bit bigger of a rug pull at this point. But is that happening at this moment? No. This is being read as good news for the market, so pay attention to that. We have to be willing to go both ways on this. We have nothing as far as the technical side that has really turned to bearish. We have signals that are telling you that momentum is dead here. And if we get that bad news, the bad news has to be pretty bad, right? If people are euphoric and in a good news binge, or even some bad news becoming good news binge, we really need some bad news. Like, it has to be bad. 0.4 is not going to do it today. 0.5, 0.6 might have done it. But that didn't happen. Thank you again for liking and subscribing. Really appreciate you guys being here this morning. I hope your trades are going well. Meta going up 1.2% now. AMD up almost 4%. That crossing of the MACD happening for AMD. See if it's able to break through key resistance where we're at right now. Really want to pay attention to that. NVDA not crossing on this MACD yet. Overall completed the cup right where we wanted to, right in this little pocket here. See if we get some kind of handle. Palo Alto down 0.55, Microsoft up 0.48, Google bouncing from that area real nicely, up 1.6, and Tesla still not able to get to that 207.42 we've been talking about. So a lot of things to go through here, mainly with NVIDIA. We need to blow past that 800. We keep getting up to that point at a high of 799.12 here. Really need to get past that 800 number to start seeing that positivity. We're just using that from a max pain perspective, and then we want to pay attention to, if we get above that, 835. If we get below that, see if we're able to hold up around 750. That's your put wall. IWM seeing some really big strength here. Solid move out of IWM, almost 2%. The only thing worrying me, Apple not participating fully in this move yet. That's a little sketch. Red hot, if the Fed speakers are going with higher for longer narrative, we could see gap fill with going down. Yes. Now, you have to remember with the Qs here, we can just look at this. This right here was CPI. This was them saying higher for longer as well. What happened? The market went up. Why'd the market go up? Well, Fed speakers actually came out with a very carefree attitude. If you watch some of those speakers, they came out with a very carefree attitude, just like, oh, inflation. But the way they said it was very like stuttering over their words, even though they had that carefree attitude. So with me reading body language and all that, you're stuttering over your words while saying inflation's a good thing. Inflation is not a good thing, especially to tick up in the February reading. That means January was where we saw that inflation tick up. That is not a good thing. November, December, sure, we can start to see that. The reading we get from December, the reading we get from November, sure, people are spending money, holidays. But January, you really don't want to see any tick ups for the January reading. And we saw that, but you notice that we actually headed higher. We found that 30-minute divergence down here, saw that big pop, mainly due to NVIDIA. So still in a bubble at this point. Getting past those resistances, very, very good. NVIDIA looks heavy. Maybe that's just wishful thinking. I have a 785 put, and I would just pay attention to your expiration on that put. Your expiration on that put's going to be important moving forward because this could extend out for a few days here, and then you might have the potential for that pullback somewhere up in this area if we're able to blow past 800. Now, if it goes the other way and it's able to drop off, kind of like a pop and drop 315. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. Just a little bit of a worrisome thing to take the put side with this still in positive territory, but if you're comfortable with it, maybe you can add to it in the future, or get out, get back in if you start to see us confirm above 800. That's overall my thinking on that. Views really just want to see, this is such an important level here. Appreciate you guys being here. Good morning, good morning. Georgie, solid comment there. We could easily see this flip back the other way. I mean, even though people see consensus, it's good news. We're in positive territory. That's why I'm really just seeing if this will actually confirm. That starts to confirm. Things start to add up that we're going to see more positivity. If this confirms without crossing above this level right here with a strong bar, that's where we can be like, ooh, this might be a little bit more of a fake out, but we're testing the highs up in here, so that's something to pay attention to. Meta starting to go green. Let's see, that's able to get a green bar as of right now on the hourly here. This was overall the trade that I was taking. I was just saying, hey, this is a cup. Here's my handle. Let's see if we start to head higher, go up into a point of about 495. I'm really thinking about targeting 500 on this because those whole numbers, people really like those whole numbers. NVIDIA sitting at 794. We're still seeing resistance come in at this area. Kind of want to switch over to a little bit shorter, maybe a 15-minute, just see if we consolidate right here in front of this. Well, that's kind of what you want to see at a resistance level, actually. So yes, these are rejections at this point above these expected moves. But if this is well, that's a little low. But if this area here, this is probably the important area to create that cup. Okay, we just sealed it. Now do we get that handle? That's kind of what we're thinking is forming right now to head higher. If we're going to head lower, most likely you're going to see the narrative switch. We're going to see this start to head the other way pretty quick. So if we're going to head lower, I'd really like to see this hourly reject the crossing. See a good negative bar, really reject that crossing on the hourly here. Get it so we can see those weeklies as well. See what they're talking about over here. We have Hyatt Hotels they're talking about right now. Let's see what people are saying. No interest rate is to rate minus. I don't know. Some people are talking gibberish in here. I like to read comments too on some of these lives just to see what's going on. He's mainly, the president and CEO of Hyatt Hotels is talking right now. But yeah, now we're seeing that fade. This is what we're overall talking about. We got 20 minutes left in this hourly bar. See if we're able to hold strong. This is still fine. It's fine to come down and retest this area. You just don't want that to start to give up the gains. It's even fine to come down to the moving averages. I would just say you don't want to break through this low at all. Tesla going down. Tesla overall on these shorter time frames, 15-minute divergence, triple divergence across the board. Haven't gone into negative territory yet, though. So once this goes negative, we can start to formulate, hey, this could be a head and shoulders. We got the left, we got the head. Maybe we actually come down into this area, create some kind of right shoulder in the near future. The good part about this is if you're part of the Patreon, you know what we were talking about on Tesla last night. Okay, I sent out that video. We're going to give a Wednesday update video around these risk ranges for the individual stocks that you do get on Patreon. Every single Wednesday. I feel like Wednesday is a good day to come out and just say, hey, what's happened so far? What are the trade setups? What are the probabilities here of some pops, of some drops? A lot of what we talked about in the last video was, though, like the SPY and the Qs, they're sitting in the middle of their range for the week. Talk about SPY. Well, you can watch Qs. SPY is very similar at this point. So SPY, you really didn't. Well, you completed that cup pretty well. I mean, honestly, you do want to complete that cup somewhere up in this area. This is just your high, but really that cupping you wanted to happen right around here, even a little bit lower. So this is perfectly fine for that cup. See if you get that handle. Main thing I pay attention to, see if this MACD curls up. This MACD curls up, good shot. We're going to go towards that top of the weekly expected move, make a new all-time high for the SPY, targeting up towards 514. If we see some strength, right? If we don't see that strength coming throughout the day, this could easily go negative. So really the hourly, you want to see this curl up on the SPY. The Qs, we don't want it to do what it's doing right now. We do not want that to keep dropping off. So do you have a regular job to support your new family? Yes, I do. Yep, I try to be very honest and be like, hey, I'm still a guy that's building. I just gained some of these skills and I just wanted to come out and see if I'm helpful at all. And that's the overall goal with this channel, is just to be helpful. And if people have questions, try to educate and that kind of thing. I can't tell you what it's going to do. I wish I could tell the future. I'd be a lot richer. I wouldn't have to have that other job. But Thursdays are nice. Thursdays are my day where I just get to do whatever I want. So yeah, I work with a startup and then I also have another job and then I have this as well. So I have a lot on my plate. That's why if you ever hear me being annoying, being like, hey, you know, like the video and things like that, I would love to do this full time for you guys. But not in the cards. It's not on the table right now. So yeah, I give consulting. I am a marketing consultant, and that's the startup gig. I really like that too. It's a cool little startup, and it's not old people; it's older people doing the startup. So that's always a good thing, you know, when you have someone that's he's actually pretty high up at Coke, who I'm working with. That's pretty cool. I think he just left Coke, actually. I think he's going to be the CEO of some airplane company. What did we say on the VIX? 7.9? Oh, yeah, Cindy, that baby girl. She was a little rough last night. Little bit rough. You know, I don't want to give you guys TMI, but she used the bathroom a lot last night, and that really kept her awake. We had some tummy aches. Market's starting to flip. You're not wrong. Market's starting to reject from that level. We'll have to see what happens here. Really just want to pay attention here. If we see that full rejection. Now, this happens a lot. We do see price fluctuation. Yeah, and that's definitely possible. See, that's the initial reaction versus what's actually happening. The initial reaction, oh, we came in at consensus. Good news. No, actually, we saw a increase of 0.4, which last month we only saw 0.1, the month before that 0.1. So why are we seeing this increase at this point? That's overall the thinking that we have to think to really get in our head. We haven't seen an increase of 0.4 in the last 12 months. This is the first time we've seen that. So that's actually bad news that we got this morning, but people see consensus and get excited and say, hey, this is good news. Definitely interesting. Now, the cool part about these risk ranges, if they want to hold true, guess what? It went outside of it, tested the top side. You actually can see this full reverse by end of day and come to the downside. So, sorry. Once we come into negative territory, that bottom side of this, we'll get into negative territory. Thank you. Yeah, my hand-eye coordination is insane. I was I guess my hand-foot coordination is insane. I used to be a semi-pro soccer player, people. I almost played for the New York Red Bulls. Or wait. New York City FC, something, one of those two. Soccer was the dream of mine, but I've dislocated this shoulder right here. I've dislocated it 5 times now. That's what ruined my career. My shoulder is weak AF. I really got to start doing my rehab too. Just holding Ari is like, oof. Holding Ariana is like getting tiring. She's getting heavier every time. And I'm like, geez, how do you moms do it? I see moms just have them right there and keep hanging. Was SPY a reload? So the thing you really want to pay attention to if you want to look at a shorter time frame is just see if this is some kind of handle at this point. On the SPY, we can look at that. That's not handling. That's not handling as of right now. That is a rip to the downside. Now it still can't act like a handle, so we want to see if this all is completed, right? We've completed this. This might just be a steep one, but looks like we're starting to see a little bit of that volatility come in to the overall market. Got to get that surgery. Yes, I actually got tricked. So when I was playing semi-pro soccer, I couldn't be paid because I was still in college. And my college team, they actually would have paid for the surgery, but they didn't tell me that. So a little bit unfortunate for me. They would have paid for that $6,000 or $7,000 surgery. Yeah, so a lot of rotator cuff stuff. But yeah, so this could still be handling, but with that much of a sell-off, you'd really want to see buyers step back in, most likely. The Q is really what I want to pay attention to. See if it's able to break down. You see it buying back up. So we could get a little fight here. This is where you expect the fight between the bulls and the bears because we weren't able to gap above it before market. Therefore, you can't use it as support. It'll keep coming in as resistance unless we're able to break through it. Could get some kind of handle though. Why is AMD ripping? AMD ripping by 4.5% at this point. Coming up into that previous high, this zone up here, gave myself a little bit of room, but this zone up here, really what I'm paying attention to. As of right now, hourly divergence, if we want to turn back around, this could be something like AMD follows NVIDIA. AMD is a cheaper price right now, so people go with AMD. At least that's what I would assume. See, that's all it is. It fails to scare market. They can't say it was a low reading. They can't say anything like that because it technically was not a low reading, right? It was not a decrease in reading. It was an increase. It was just what the market expected. So the language that the media is going to use is going to be very important. Plus AMD might not have that call wall we're talking about. So, you know, NVIDIA has that call wall at 800. So 800 is going to be a huge resistance. See if we're able to get past that. Now, as of right now, the Q's not wanting to confirm the move higher, but we'll have to see what's going to happen from here. Resistance exactly where we expect it, exactly where we expect it to come in. Fear and greed is at 79 right now as well. So I do like to use the VIX as my fear indication right now. We've seen that really drop off lately, right? We've seen these spikes. We've seen that spike. We've really started to drop off, little spikes here, but that's rolling. That's rolling over into negative territory as of right now. So we could see this gap build down towards this 1290. That's really what I've been leaning towards this whole time, pulling up a 2-hour on the VIX. I'm really leaning towards some sort of divergence on the 2-hour right at this 1290 level. Maybe we even go a tiny bit lower down to something like a 1250 reading, and then we can see that base out. Guess what? That got us real close to breaking this trend, right? We got real close to breaking this trend. Weren't able to fully break it. So if this wants to curl back down over time, come and fill this, look how close we would be to breaking that trend. And guess what? This divergence here gets you closer to positive territory. So we do have that potential going on into next week, going on into end of day tomorrow for this to shape up. And that's where you have to think, what is Jerome Powell going to say? What are they going to ask him? And that's why I was saying, you know, you have a question for Jerome Powell. Sir, You know, what would your question be? We had a couple of good ones. Do you know what you're doing is my favorite one that we should ask Jerome Powell, and the answer is no, he doesn't know exactly what he's doing until he gets data. So not really taking initiative, that guy. How is Congress allowed to trade insider trading? And what type of Pete with a good question. What type of financial event would cause you to lower rates? Very, very, very good question. I don't think he would answer it. I do not think he would answer that question next week, to be honest. I don't think he would. I think he would give you a nothing burger of an answer, and then maybe some lady runs in and talks about, you know, maybe some protester runs in and talks about climate change or how we still eat meat, and he'll have to tell them to shut the fucking door. Oh, that was one of the best moments ever. I'm gonna pull up that fear. I do like to look at that sometimes. See. Yeah, we're in the extreme greed now. We can go higher. We can go higher. Let's see. Not a good sign. Usually when you're at the extreme greed, don't let yourself get euphoric. We could go a little bit higher, but a lot of probabilities pointing a lot lower. Just be careful, be ready to flip. Trade like water. Right now we're trading like water. Need that VIX at 20, that's right. Especially if you got your hand on my course. We talk about the trading strategy. You really want that to be above 20. You really need the VIX above 20. Then we can start to see those bigger swings. And that's really where I shine. Once the VIX goes above 20, whoo, I'm good. I'm good when the VIX is above 20. What was it? Let's see. Where were we trading when I was just crushing it? It was right before all this big run. This stuff right in here. Actually, pretty much when I started this channel, we started to go through a downturn. This was really where I shine. And then this is where we notified you, hey, we're probably going to see a huge, huge bounce here. Everyone was saying we're going to crash right here. We were like, look out. Apple's about to go insane. It went insane. The 180 support is holding. Hasn't hit since October, right? Yeah, exactly. So this is where we got above 20. This is really the type of stuff I kind of shine in, to be totally honest. Swing trading is easy to me, but this is where I have the most fun in markets when we start to see that price fluctuation, bunch of divergences. It's a lot of fun. That's when I get the most excited to wake up in the morning and trade some stocks, I tell you. Now, thoughts on Apple. We can go take a look at Apple. From a daily perspective, you lost this divergence on the MACD. Pretty flat, even a little bit down here. So no real divergence there. You do still have that divergence on the RSI down here, which just tells me we could see some kind of pop, but most likely that is going to be a pullback. So that's why I'm targeting this zone. Really want to focus on this zone right here if we see some kind of bullish price action. Now, 2 hour, the hourly, we saw a bunch of divergences. We're getting those divergences here. They have confirmed. The only problem is with the 2 hour, this is why I got out of this trade right here. Wasn't able to get into positive territory. When I see that roll back over, nope, now I get another point of divergence. If that gets into positive territory, we can see positivity. But as it remains in negative, if this starts to break through these key levels, I would say if it breaks through this entire zone, this zone's been very good for these little pops, right? So we really want that to break below this zone. That would really confirm, hey, we already are in a negative trend. We have been, right? We've been in a negative trend pretty much since over here. Yes, this puts you up into positive, but we went down into negative again. So negative trends still continuing. Really pay attention if this is able to get into positive territory. That's what I would say as far as that goes. Hourly for the Qs, we're still holding up where we need to for the Qs. The SPY, how are we holding up? Good. Little bit of a retest in this area. That's not bad. So the buyers did step back in, and Hannah, thank you so much for subscribing. Appreciate you. Look at your little guy bouncing on the screen. That's so much fun. So yeah, we still are consolidating kind of where you want to. You want to consolidate in front of that resistance, right behind it even, just to get some price action in here, grab all this liquidity and start to head upward. We could even dip a little bit lower over time, see that scoop up, and then see that extension come Friday. So hourly here, looking pretty good. 15-minute, we're going to see this get into positive territory. That's the first little sign. Hey, we are in a positive trend on the 15-minute now. Are we going to hold there? If this starts to roll over, that 1 hour is going to start to reject. QQQ looks so bullish, and I think it does too. This was overall what we were saying. Trap, rug pull, possibly coming. How is Tesla? Tesla looking flat. Tesla looking real flat. This is something we pointed out in our Wednesday update on Patreon. That's right. If you join the Patreon, you get a little extra something every single Wednesday. I put out a little 6-7 minute video talking about where we're at with these moving ranges or these risk ranges. Tesla just showing you, hey, we got triple divergence at this point. Will that actually confirm into negative territory? That's what you're going through right now. So if you see that positivity, which I'm kind of leaning towards, I think this would be unfinished business they kind of want to fill. Tesla hates 205 puts. Something fun we could... Oh, wait, wrong one. Let me go get that. Let's see what the max pain for Tesla is for fun. Just for fun, guys. God, sometimes we have to have fun throughout our day. We can't just be stressed out looking at these red and green bars all day, all right? 200, 195. What was the part? 205? I mean, you're above the call wall right now. 200 is your call wall. And you got a 0.64 put to call ratio. If you want to see that real quick. There's your call wall, 200. 195, your put wall. Landing right in between there would be the best thing for the market makers. It would make a lot of sense actually landing there by end of week. It would make sense. But you have the potential here. If you see that bullishness, we can squeeze this way. If you see that bearishness come in, that selling, we can start to squeeze out some of these shorts. So, I'm sorry, get rid of some of these calls. Now we have to see what forms here. Switch into a 15-minute just for a little bit. We'll switch back if we see some positivity, see if that hourly is able to curl back up. How's Starbucks? I don't know. I don't drink Starbucks coffee. I don't drink Starbucks. I have couple coffee places I like to go to, and I know you're asking about the stock. I know you are. I don't really follow Starbucks. So we'll have to do kind of a rough assessment here, starting with the daily. Hey, not bad. The only thing is you're below the 200. So this actually does look bearish from this standpoint. Yes, you have the potential for bottoming out here, but you're still below the 200. It's a good rule of thumb. You're below the 200. Seeing that crossover, we can look at this. We can go into negative territory over the next day or two. And that can get dramatic selling, meaning we could test this low, break that, test this one, break that, coming down a lot lower. Be more confident if we came down lower, even tested that low again, gave us a solid divergence here. Give us a solid little divergence near positive territory right now, looking like it's rolling back over the other way, below the 200. So not the best look for Starbucks, to be honest. We got to get this to where it auto corrects. Yeah, you mean $5? The stock? Yeah, I know. I knew you were talking about the stock. I was trolling you. Do you trade natural gas? No, but I do follow a lot of the commodity type stuff for kind of inflationary reactions, mainly oil and things like that. Let's Which one do we look at the most? US oil and this one here. US oil is a good one. You'll just see we've been running up a little bit. Head and shoulders in play, so we could see that dropping off. What would cause this to drop off? Well, deflation could cause that to drop off. And the stock for that, USO. 15-minute, a little bit wonky there. ARC at 5164. Oh god. All right. NVIDIA 793, AMD up 5% now, 5.2. Some people rotating into AMD this morning. Apple's still looking pretty damn flat. Not the best look for Apple. Doesn't mean it can't pop higher, just means, hey, we're not seeing that strength at this point. Qs, though, still holding where we need them to. You don't mind dips like this. You really don't mind dips like this, because what it's doing is grabbing liquidity, right? It's grabbing this to then maybe head higher. So really, if you start to see reactions like this, that'd be pretty good. As long as we remain above these moving averages, I'm not too scared. And thanks for the welcome. You are welcome. Thank you for thanking me for the welcome. You know? Ah. It's a great day. We have volatility that might come back into this market real soon, and that's where Lucas shines, so I'm excited. Gotta wait patiently for the volatility to come back in. Let's not forget that. Gotta wait patiently for that to come back in. Not trying to do anything crazy. But Omega, hopefully that helped a tiny, tiny bit with Starbucks. If it goes to say anything else, I don't mind the coffee. It's pretty good. You know, it's Starbucks. It's decent. I used to, when I used to work for the ad agency, I used to just go to Starbucks, and I used to run 13 different Facebook accounts at the same time. I used to run all of their ads. Sold out a car lot once. Pretty good at marketing. Yeah, I used to market for car dealerships, pawn shops, granite stores, realtors, all kinds of stuff. God, Osman, be 2 seconds. The heart's in your way. What will you advance newbies for options trading? Say newbies. Somebody say something in the chat so I can read the rest of that. I freaking hate this heart. I wish I could delete this heart off. I can never read the last word or the middle, whatever, the word that ends on the right. I can never read it, and it sucks. Awful. SPY getting a little retest off of the moving averages. Like I said, the moving averages, this is not a bad thing. You're still holding above. You actually prefer this when you take back the moving averages, get that retest, you can continue going higher. This is actually a good sign on the 15-minute for the SPY there. H, thank you, honkiness. Thank you, honky. All right, what will you advance newbie for options trading? Sorry, I'm having trouble with that question a little bit. From the options side of things, in my course, I mainly just go over your risk assessment there, how the risk works. You can find out more details about it in the course down in the description, but overall, what kind of degree do I have? Business admin degree. Sorry, I keep losing it. I have ADHD. Osman, so the thing that I mainly go over with options, that's the probably most important thing, is being risk cognizant, right? Knowing what kind of risk. If I have $10,000, this is probably the basic slam of risk management. If I have $10,000 and I want to do options trading can be volatile. Options trading can be very quick to lose money because you're pretty much 100 times leveraged. Okay, so this would mean, from an options perspective, if I have $10,000, I only want to dedicate, say, 10% of that to my options trading. The rest of the 9,000, I either hold part of that in cash and then invest the other part of that And with the risk management side of things, you really just want to say, with that $1,000, I'm not going to spend $1,000 every trade. I'm going to use about 10 to 30% of that per trade. That way, if something goes the other way and then I see that signal confirm again, I can add to my position. I have money on the side to add to that position, or I'm going to dedicate 30% and say use 10% of that 30 to then add to that position in the future, or be able to get out, wait for my next trade setup. It's a lot. I do go over it in the course for, I believe, its own little video, and it's just to tell you, like, you don't need to make a huge amount of money right away. You need to make little amounts of money and get used to taking profit. Get used to taking profit when you're in euphoric emotion. Did you say PhD? No, no PhD. I'm just kind of a nerd. When I get interested in stuff, I talk about it a lot. I research it a ton. That's how I got good at technical analysis so fast. I mean, I've done technical analysis for about 4 years now. I've traded for about, how old am I? For about 9 years I've traded. But my trading style 9 years ago was trash. It was trash. So really, I just wanted to give it a go. It really excited me back then, so I wanted to take it more seriously. As you get older, you start to be like, okay, I want to take this more seriously, really give it 100%, and that's what I'm doing here. And then I said, I actually was encouraged by a couple of friends to start a YouTube channel, because I tell them when to sell their Bitcoin sometimes. Don't tell the SEC. Don't tell the IRS, but I do sometimes tell my buddies, like, hey, good time to sell Bitcoin. Let's see. So I told my buddy to sell Bitcoin. Well, there was a weekly divergence that I told him to sell on. I believe it was somewhere around 50,000. Where's that bar? Right here. Boom. This bar right here, told my buddy to sell 50,000. Pretty close to the high there. Obviously a little bit off, but look at what it saved him. So they encouraged me to make videos. They know I talk about it all the time, and then I just did it and stuck to it, and now it's fun. I actually really do enjoy hanging out with you guys, especially. I'm glad I gave live video a try. I've done live video before. If you didn't know, I was a TikTok star at one point. Comedy. I used to get asked to go to New York and do comedy shows. I got asked to come to Miami and be on those big, those big podcasts with those people who like talk about dating and things. I got asked to be on there. Got asked to be on Love Island, but I'm too old for that crap. I'd rather be hanging with you guys looking at these green and red bars. Sorry, you don't need to know my life story. We don't care about that. We care about the charts here. Starting to see this MACD turn up. Let's see how this next hour goes. We got 50 minutes left in that next hour. Getting really, really close to crossing. I wish I had actually, I don't wish I had a PhD. If I'm being totally honest, who here liked school? That's a good question. Who here liked going to school and doing homework and all that stuff? LOL, Pal asked. Let me see that word. Hal asked me for inflation advice last week. Did he now? AMD to 1. Nope. Me. Psych. Nope. Nope. Yeah, I was the same way. So I used like school when I went back in my 40s. Yeah, once you have like a straight up goal, but I think when you're young and you're just going because you're supposed to, it's a little bit rougher. I was originally computer science, if you can't believe that. I was originally like going to be an engineer, but I took Boolean algebra and I was like, this is the most boring thing ever. My ADHD is going insane. I got to do something else. Switch to business. Actually, I switched to marketing, and then there was a teacher I had at my college where I played soccer, and he advised me to do business administration because you can get the same jobs as a marketing degree. It just opens more doors. Just went back to school at 40. I've endured enough school for one life. Yeah, I feel you, review. But hey, sometimes you got to go back. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I just liked specific things. I liked psychology. I liked philosophy, and I liked business. So those were the 3 things I liked. I can tell you guys a quick story about my college experience here. I had to take Biology 101. Did anyone else have to take Biology 101? Because if you did, I was a business major having to take Biology 101. How do you think my performance was in that course? It was bad. I remember my final, I had to get a D to pass, and I just didn't care. Now, I got like A's throughout all my business courses, A's through psychology and stuff like that. And this is a guy that doesn't really like school. I just really like those courses. So I needed a D to get a C or something in Biology 101. And I got my final back and it said like C minus or D plus. It said like C minus or something. And I just screamed out. I was like, yes, because I never had to come back and do biology again. But I said, yes, I'm next to 2 biology majors. And they're like, oh, did you kill it? And I go, I passed. I got a D, so I got a C in the class. And they were just like, oh, like they were so confused. And I was like, I literally don't give 2 about this. So I just was like, I need to pass this so I can get back to just doing my business and psychology courses. My favorite so far, finance major needing chemistry and astronomy. Are you going to use the stars for financial gains? But yeah, so I was someone who, if I really didn't care about the course, I wouldn't try. I would just try to pass. I would show up and try to pass. If I care about the course, yeah, I'm gonna try to get an A. Pitching Academy. I like chicks in college. Is that a course? Is chicks a course? So we have a women's studies guy. Okay, Pitching Academy, I see you. I imagine it's to understand inflation effects on gold deposits on asteroids. Interesting. That's something. Think something retrograde Mercury. I imagine understand. Astronomy, gold in space. Oh, gold on asteroids. Okay. Yeah, I mean, hey, have fun with that. That'll be fun if you're still in it right now. Sorry, I pulled up the hourly just to see if that was going to cross. We're still seeing this kind of sell down. Now, the thing with this selling is if it continues in this pattern like this, just straight down, you do have the potential for some flagging at the end here. So let's be open to that. Still a time to be like, hey, we hit the upside of that move. If we're not able to break through it, sometimes you're not able to break through a level. If you can't bust up, you're going to come down. Oh, you're on the Patreon. Yes. Okay. So we did get some new Patreon people as well. Thank you guys for joining that Patreon. Really awesome to see people come. It's a great week to join with the monthly expected moves for every stock that we cover. So if you want a monthly expected move for NVIDIA, join that Patreon today. $7 costs you pretty much a Starbucks coffee a month to join, and you'll get those monthly ranges plus the weekly ranges every week. And daily ranges for all the stocks that we do cover every Friday. So every Thursday night we send that to you. Thanks. There's the course. The course should be down in the description. I know I haven't updated that for the live video. But if you click on it, new understanding indicators, divergence, and weekly ranges, 50% off right now. So $100 gets you that course. I'm going to be raising that most likely by end of March, because I believe by end of March we might be in that bear market. So grab it before it goes up to $200, and that's as high as I'm going to make it, though, guys. I'm not going to be one of those guys that charges, says it's $1,500 and it's 90% off or something. No, it's the $200 flat after March. So consider it a March Madness sale. I've heard some good stuff from it. People do like that it is simple. It is a simple one. It really breaks it down simply. I had people take the course or one person actually who took the course who knew nothing about technical analysis, and they were able to put together, oh, that's what this thing is. That's what this thing is. This is what's important. So we just go in depth. But Patreon is at the top. That'll be the first link in the description here. And then the course will be like the third link. That's just where it says new course, convergences, things like that. Very, very useful. We've actually seen a few people taking that. So I am just loving some of the feedback I'm getting. And more feedback means I can go in and make it better if I have to and update that for people who have even bought it already. So if I do start to hear people having any kind of issue with it, I do encourage you to email me questions. Or if you're part of the Patreon, that's even better. Just send me a message on Patreon if there's a section that is confusing you. We can try to get you to understand that. I do not want this to be like other YouTubers that pretty much they sell you a $2,000 course and then you have no way to connect with them at all afterwards. So pretty much if you're sending me a question about the course, just be like course question in an email and then ask that question. I'll try to help you out the best I can. Also, someone's got to remind me. I got to do this iPad. I got to charge this iPad. I keep saying I want to charge it. But I keep forgetting. God dang it. That's the bad part about ADHD. It's like I remember something and then I read a piece of chat and then I'm like, shoot. Still looking okay. SPY still looking okay. Until this breaks through this base, we really shouldn't be too worried. Apple flipping negative. That's something that could be something to pay attention to. Meta sitting still above 1%. AMD 6%, 10 points on the day. That is kind of nuts. Getting past my resistance level. Kind of want to check on Amazon. Amazon completing the cup, kind of consolidating right where you want it to, so could head higher very soon. We talked about this Amazon in last night's weekly, or I guess midweek update on Patreon, so that's good. It's looking all right. Pull this up. We haven't been breaking down. Let's pull this up and do this for a split sec. Thank you guys for joining. If you are part of the Patreon, just look out because we do have the monthly ranges coming tonight, and we will also, at least for now, for a couple of weeks here, we're going to give you those daily ranges for every single Friday on YouTube. Sorry, for free for a couple of weeks here. Just going to see how much people enjoy it. If people really enjoy it, I'll ask my Patreon if they'd like to see it more often, and then we'll go from there. Good part about this channel, hey, at least you get the weekly expected moves for the SPY and the Qs, and I try to give you those daily expected moves every single day of the week, and then we come talk about it live, and that's how we know, hey, that resistance is coming in exactly where we expect it, right where we expect it to. Big resistance level here. If you get above it, that is a very, very good sign. Even this selling to come down, remember, it's just retesting those moving averages, okay, nothing to be scared about. The only time you're scared is if these start to roll back over. Right now they're pointing up, and even the 50 on the 15-minute here starting to curl up, so we can start to use that as a way to ride up throughout the rest of this week. Let's see if they're talking about anything this morning. Let's see. We got someone talking about HP on Bloomberg right now, down 1.36%, down 39 cents. And right when I go over here, they are done. That fear greed index coming in at a reading of 79. We are currently in extreme fear. AMD, my goodness, look at that hourly crossing. That's got to cross on the hourly, completely wiping out the divergence on the RSI at this point, unless we see some selling come in. So that would just mean, hey, I have a divergence on the MACD, but not the RSI at the same time. So that would tell me this could just be some kind of pullback if we want to. Unless we're able to fully get into negative territory. But for right now, this thing could just keep going. It's past that level that we were talking about, so that's pretty good. Now, NVIDIA, let's go to a 15-minute here for NVIDIA. We're just noticing that we were able to close this cupping in here right? You see this very important area here, very, very important, almost a double top there to cause this sell-off. Well, guess what? We just completed that cup right around that area. Now we're seeing that start to consolidate a little bit. So nothing too much to be worried about with NVIDIA. Actually consolidating before that 800 number is kind of what you want to happen moving forward if you're on the bull side of things. If you're on the bear side of things, you want this to roll back down into negative territory. So we're still at a point where NVIDIA could go either way. We need to see, is it going to break, retest, and go to the upside? Or is this going to roll over and break through this base? Two levels you need to pay attention to, this base here and these tops up here. Because if we get through these tops here, probably going to go test that high. Only scary thing, Apple not participating. Okay, Apple's still curling back down. If this wants to curl over in negative territory, 15-minute negative trend may continue. So that's a little bit worrisome. Tesla going negative as well, getting into that negative territory where we were saying, hey, you don't want this to go negative. It's going negative right now, which encourage you to say, hey, this hourly is probably rolling over pretty good now. So, grand scheme of things, though, you could be in this wedge. So any pullback in Tesla, we can see this extend for quite some time. Get nice and tight before we see a very big explosive move. The Q's about to cross over on that hourly. So I hope everyone is having a good morning. We were able to hit the top side of that daily range. Very, very useful. And tomorrow we'll have, that's pretty fun though. Tomorrow we'll have a lot more to talk about on the live stream, because tonight on YouTube, you'll have those daily expected moves for Friday. So please make sure to like the stream, subscribe if you're not subscribed already. We would love to have you here. We're just dedicated to being as helpful as we can be here, being as educational as we can be here, and talking about this stuff live with you guys, answering some questions and all that good stuff. So hit that sub button, hit that like button for me. Really do appreciate it. Let's get some more people in here. See if we can hit 100 people on this stream by the end of the day. We will be on for another hour. I'm going to hop off around 11 o'clock my time, so about an hour from now. So stay for the last 15 minutes, or come back around 10:45 if you got to go do something, because we're going to break down these stocks one by one. We're going to look through the SPY, Q, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, NVIDIA, AMD, and Meta. Okay, we're going to look through all of those, maybe pop around, look at some other stuff like Snow, see how that reaction was as well. Okay, so I am going to, I've had 2 cups of coffee now, so bathroom's going to happen, guys. I'm sorry, but I'm going to go use the restroom. I'm going to leave you guys on some news for a sec.
Snapping up high-end sandals and clogs.
Jesus Christ.
Birkenstock's earnings beating analyst estimates after initially flopping.
I'm sure you guys can hear that well, but I can hear that. That's loud as...
Actually have since climbed about 11%.
All right, be right back, guys.
Listing price. Traditionally, the maker of no-frills sandals, Birkenstock has ratcheted up its offering of higher-end footwear and closed-toe products in recent years, including the Bend sneaker. Ticket scalping bots in the crosshairs of state lawmakers nationwide now. This follows a public outrage over stiff prices on sites like StubHub. State lawmakers, more than half a dozen states, have introduced bills this year that would target abuses in the ticketing industry with varying approaches to enforcement. All right, sing along, everybody. Cyndi Lauper is selling her music catalog. That includes the 1980s hits True Colors and Girls Just Want to Have Fun, to Sweden's Pop House Entertainment Group. The Swedish company, co-founded by ABBA star Bjorn Unpronounceable, acquired the rights to Lauper's music for an undisclosed sum. And that is your company news.
This is Bloomberg Intelligence with Alex Steele and Paul Sweeney on Bloomberg Radio.
Happy leap year. Happy
See, I feel like
everybody.
that's
Alex
loud.
Here, Alex Steele here alongside Paul Sweeney. You're listening to Bloomberg Intelligence. We cover all the top stories with all the best analysts around the world. Lots more coming up for you, but for now, we're going to get to
that is loud for me, guys.
And national news. Michael?
Thank you very much, Alex. Paul, John, the question of presidential immunity is making its way to the High Court. Last night, the Supreme Court agreed to consider whether former President Donald Trump can be prosecuted for allegedly illegally interfering with the 2020 election. The Supreme Court says oral arguments will be scheduled for the week of April 22nd. The same week, Trump
you guys know the
expected
Stitch hat
to be
is good
in a
luck.
New York City courtroom for another of his
Gotta show off the
cases.
Stitch app.
It appears even voters who support President Biden are concerned that he may be too old for the job. Bloomberg's Amy Morris reports from Washington.
The Bloomberg News Morning Consult poll finds swing state voters across nearly every major demographic.
Let's see our chat. Let's not get too political. Let's not get too political, anything like that. But do we all think Biden's a little old? Do we all think Biden's just a little bit like he doesn't really understand what's going on sometimes? Did you guys see him? Was he on? He was on a talk show. Whose talk show was he on? He old as just no holding back with that. Just Manny coming out hot. He's old as. He did the he was on like a live show, and they had him with specific lines that he obviously memorized, and then he just forgets the line and does the classic anyway, and then just gets off. He's old and crusty. I don't know the real strategy with what's going on with these politicians right now. I don't understand the real strategy going up. Got the Mexican and Egyptian presidents mixed up. IQ of a golf ball. Yeah, see, that's not good when people are talking like that about your president, about his mental state. Like, as far as I'm seeing a lot of people talk about if he has dementia or something, but that's 92 and fully coherent, unlike Biden. DG, okay, I used flashcards in 3rd grade. I haven't used flashcards probably since 3rd grade either. President Biden, the flashcards are supposed to be for reference, not for reading. Anyway. No, not talking smack. The thing I always say is every president, I'll always say this, whether it's the, one I voted for or not, I'm like, I want them to do a good job. And, I wish nothing but the best for our president. And that's how everyone should be. We should want them. We do not want our presidents to fail, right? We want our presidents to do well. 90 years old. Wait, really? No way. That just happened. I saw a bunch of numbers. How old is Biden? That's 81. Got 81. He was born in 1942. Holy shit. Oh my god. That is so crazy. He was born. He's 50 years older than me. Like exactly 50 years older than me, by the way. 1992, baby. But Jesus, that's wild to think about. But he's not 90. Come on, guys. That's before the light bulb, guys. Come on. Have you ever seen, Manny, have you ever seen Arrested Development? Has anyone seen Arrested Development? Please, God, someone say you've seen Arrested Development. Because that come on hit me like Job. The guy, so the guy in the $200 jacket is going to tell the guy in the $7,000 suit what to do? Come on. That show changed my life. It's so funny. It's definitely before electric cars. And I'm so sorry, Steve, but whenever I read your name, all I see is asphalt. I'm sorry to say it. It's brain freeze. He just loves ice cream too much. Oh my god, you guys. Sorry, Steve, but oh man, that's funny. We got Hannah laughing. That's good. We like to see some good vibes in the train. Great name, though. There you go, Steve. Are you single? No. This is not a dating show channel, guys. We're looking at stocks. God. Come on. What's the other show I've been liking? Have you guys ever seen Kath and Kim? Kath and Kim. Totally different. Hello, first time question. Thanks for the stream, bro. Do you use options alpha for your daily expected moves? So all I use for the daily expected moves are the implied volatility, the price of the stock, the dates to expiration, and then you can find like gamma flips and stuff like that. But overall, the daily expected move, you really just need the expected volatility. You need that implied volatility, and you can calculate it. In the course, I actually show you a way to do that much easier. Yeah, members hitting. Well, members hitting on you. Guys, be serious. Guys, imagine a love story comes out of this stream today. God, that'd be just wonderful, wouldn't it? All right, let's pop around real quick. We've had a little fun for the last couple minutes. Okay, cool, man. Would you please perhaps guide me to that video? That video is actually a part of the course. All right, so if you want the weekly ranges, save you 2 hours worth of time every single week. I actually give the weekly ranges away on my Patreon. The way you can do it, you can actually look up YouTube videos, how to actually calculate it, and then you can probably find the easiest way to do it. It's just on Robinhood. But that'll be down in the description, which that'll be $200 at the end of March, and that's as high as it's going to go. I want to leave it so everyone can afford it throughout all of 2024. I'm not going to be raising it past 200, but right now it's $100 until the end of March. So this whole month you can grab that for $100. The silent SPY is literally 50-50. It wants to turn down. It looks like it's starting to point down. You trade penny stocks? You used to. Back when I was 22. Back when I was like 22 years old. Used to trade those. PCE came out good, but why is it dropping? Well, you have to consider what you think is good. Okay, so if I told you, let's just put this. You want short term? Okay. I got you, Jim. Jim, I'm listening to the feedback. I hear you. I will put it on like a 5-minute chart for you when I do go to the bathroom. I'm so sorry. As far as that goes, fancy. We just, one, I stay away from penny stocks, Hannah. 2, fancy, PCE came out good, but why is it dropping? Well, it depends on how you look at the data. Yes, this came in at consensus. That is your initial reaction. It is good. But if I pull this up, now we're going to see, look at that bar coming up. Where were we at the past few months? Well, we've been down below 0.3, below 0.2, below 0.3. The last time we saw that tick up by 0.4 was about a year ago. So we're actually seeing that tick up. Technically, from a, really analyzing perspective here, this is actually a bad thing. Now, we did come in line with the consensus, a little bit above the forecast, but we came in at consensus, so people could read that as good news. That's why overall we were talking about some sort of trap down in the bottom, boom, trap down here. Then people see that as some good news and that might fade maybe up into here. Right now we're seeing that fade around that daily expected move. But until we lose some of these moving averages, they're all starting to curl up. We can use them as support. You are welcome. If you want to learn how to calculate them on your own, just do some research. That's all I did. Do a lot of research, and you'll just figure out there's a lot of places you can find an equation. It's just doing all the weekly ranges. I pretty much I just do it on Patreon, so I can walk through them with you. I can do the calculations for you, save you a little bit of time. And then also, midweek on Wednesday, we will be breaking down what's going on with those risk ranges. That way you get some insight into them. So for a cup of coffee, you can save pretty much 4 to 7 hours a month. It's just a little way to save you guys some time and then also get some insight around those risk ranges. That's overall what the Patreon's for. That note, got that note. Manny said MACD looks like it wants to turn over. That's the scary part. Even on the 15-minute, still really close to the center line here. Close to that center line, if that wants to roll over, could mean a little bit more danger. But like we said, dipping down into this liquidity here would make a lot of sense, right? Coming down into here, grabbing a bunch of this stuff, bunch of these, this liquidity in here would make sense in order to head higher. You're noticing we're dinking off that 20 on the 15-minute. starting to head higher already. So we'll have to see. This is where we want that battle between the bulls and the bears. Who's going to win? See if it's the bulls. If they're going to lose, it's probably going to look something like this, right? We got left, head, come down, make a right shoulder, right along this base, right at that gap resistance, or gap support, sorry. We can see that breakdown. So break to the upside, cup. This is a handle. Break to the downside, looking for that to probably shake us out down to here, get some kind of head and shoulders. There's always a way up and there's always a way down. You just have the probabilities at this point, and positive territory still got to be positive for the short term, especially if this hourly starts to cross up. That hourly crosses up, pretty bullish. What type of trading do you do? Day trading, swing trading? I am a swing trader, and I would say, I almost want to say, I don't necessarily know what you want to call it, but I'm I buy contracts about a month out, sometimes during volatile times. If I see certain things, which I go through in my course, actually, I give you the golden setup for when volatility is above 20 and how you can use these risk ranges to make good money. What I like to do, Armani, is to buy contracts that are about a month out. It allows me not to lose anything with decay or something if it goes the wrong way. It allows me to get out of a position. It also allows me to add it during a position as well. So I like to trade a month out with options. And then when things are bullish, I do swing trade. My long-term plays are more for where we see corrections and things like that. So a good example of that would be a longer-term play for me would be down in this area down here is where I really started to accumulate. And right here is where I took a good trade. And as that came back down into negative territory, I actually sold out of my position here. I kind of thought we were bottoming out. I wasn't making videos at this time, but this is where I thought, hey, we're bottoming out. And we saw this curl up, get into positive territory. This is where I made my investment. Guess what? We blow past the 200. We retest it. We keep going. So this is where I become more of an investor. And then I start to swing trade on the way up. But when the volatility is, say, something like this, even with this flagging, this is where I really shine. This is where I make the most money because I catch these bounces and turns pretty well. See the divergence down here. Boom, we got divergence right here. The QQQ didn't have it, but the futures market did. And we saw that divergence on the SPY, on Apple, on the VIX, all at the same time. So this is where we were very, very bullish, and boom. I'm a swing trader. I don't like to label it because I do change how I do things. If I see certain things, sometimes I'll take a trade a week out or even the next day. I've done TLT trades where I take the next day's expiration and things like that. So I guess you could consider that kind of day trading. But for the most part, day trading is just, when you see a 5-minute divergence, because it's kind of like roulette. If you sit at a table and let it run 100 times in an hour, you're going to see some crazier things. But if you sit at a table for an hour and you only roll 20, you won't see as crazy of things. That's kind of the difference to me between a 5-minute and, say, an hourly. You're not going to see as crazy of things on an hourly all the time, but a 5-minute can fake you out all the damn time. So yeah, so I don't like to do that, Dawson. Usually, if anything, I'll buy an option at the end of day and then close it the next day. Day trading, I really, unless I see something like this where it's like I have a good divergence outside of a daily expected move, then I might take something for end of day. But 0 DTE, ugh. Oh, that's nice. See, you guys are helping me figure out what I am. But yeah, all kinds of different types, really. I'm willing to be open to being any kind of trader. I think it makes you more versatile. I like to call myself a profitable trader. That's actually a big thing about my strategies. I'm like, if I ever am in the green and get a gut feeling, I'm out. I'm like, I'm out. Just like Apple. I got into that. I was expecting like maybe a 5 to 10 point move. Only got like a 3-point move, and I saw that start to reverse. I'm out. Why? I can make 10%. I don't want to lose. And guess what? If I would have stayed in that, I'd be down right now. I'd be down pretty good. Oh. One of our doggies. We're dog people here. I used to market for a dog adoption. See how the SPY is looking. Yeah, this just isn't crazy selling yet. Still looking awful. Maybe a little 15-minute divergence helps us out. What do we get? Don't we get something tomorrow? Like PMI? Yeah, PMI tomorrow. Expected to tick up a little bit. We'll see how this shapes out tomorrow. Really, I'm just worried about that government shutdown coming like after close on Friday. I probably will be cash heavy over the weekend because I ain't fudging with that. Tesla coming down 1% now, needing to hold up probably at this 198.50, 198 level. AMD starting to come back down just a little bit, but doing pretty good on the day. 792 for NVIDIA. This is kind of what you want to see, actually, though, with NVIDIA, is this cupping in here coming up to this point. Now we're seeing not a dramatic sell-off, getting some sort of consolidation, some sort of handle in here. 2 head higher, possibly. We'll have to see if that's able to break above 800 by end of day. If we start to roll over into negative, watch out below, because this base can get taken out. We can come down into that 750 level. Sorry, phone's ringing right now. Here we go. Meta not looking the best from this standpoint. Yes, we have the big cupping in here right around this area. Cup, another little cup. If you want to continue this. Still in positive territory, but small divergence up here on the 15-minute. A little bit worried about that going forward. SPY, I do like my 30 minutes. I do like my 30 minutes. My problem with the 30-minute here is very, very close to negative territory. So if we want that positivity, you really want to see some good positivity out of the SPY here. You really want this to show some strength at this point. Palo Alto. Oh, God, I literally added this here. Palo Alto. Be careful, all right? 2 hours still in negative territory, okay? We talked about this yesterday. I know that maybe we have some different people here today. So talking about this, when you see a huge drop-off like this, Bollinger Bands are very good to have just to see if it's going way outside of it. If it goes outside of it like this, look at that reaction off the 200, yes. Now what we were mentioning, because someone was talking about it, they bought calls here, that's great. Look for that reconnection with these moving averages because a lot of the time when you see a big drop-off, you like to reconnect and then make a second move lower. So if you wanted to head higher from here, you got to retake these moving averages here. Once you retake that, you got a shot coming from the gap. The bar patterns, macro into micro. Yeah, so we're pretty similar. A lot of what I do is I look for my golden setup. So first you got to look for, pretty much first you look for those daily divergences, then you look for, or you look for a daily crossing of the MACD, honestly, and then you look for 2 hour divergences and things like that. So If a daily MACD is looking like it's about to cross, well, I can go into a 2 hour, see if there's divergence on the 2 hour. Good sign that the momentum's dying pretty good there. We can start to get some kind of pullback. And then if I see daily divergence at the same time that I see a 2 hour divergence, then I can say, hey, this will more likely be a reversal in trend for a little bit, maybe a bigger correction, bigger pullback. All stuff we go over in the course more extensively, but on YouTube, you got to read through the lines a little bit, you know. 15-minute, nothing too crazy still. We're able to hold up. We're not really stretching down towards that gap just yet. Yeah, Palo Alto, you really just want to be careful. Even snow, I think snow today. Let's take a quick look at that. Snow's another one, just dropped off, right? Coming towards that 200 pretty quick. Boom, look, it's coming towards that 200. Not in negative territory. Still potential for a bounce, but not oversold on the daily yet. So you can keep coming down. It's just a lot of the time we like to reconnect with at least one moving average before heading lower. I would switch this to a 5-day, not a 9-day. Right now I have a 9-day up. 5-day is good for the Bollinger Bands. But as far as Palo Alto goes, you know, we kind of came right above the 9, dinked off of the 20, saw that resistance come in, but we are moving sideways. A little bit of potential here. Just want to be confident that's taking those back because we do like to see reactions down from there. Pick up and over that flag for the upside. That could lead us up to that weekly top expected move. Yeah, and that's for the SPY 30-minute. Okay, SPY 30-minute. Yeah, so SPY 30-minute, you can see breaks to the upside if this is just controlled at this point. You're still above all the moving averages. The good part about the moving averages is the 50 looked like it was going to bend down. It's flattening. This is flat, but you got the 20 on the 30-minute, that is, the 20 and the 9 actually curling up. So now you can use them as support. That's actually how you want to take these moving averages back on all these charts. You want to blow past them, get that retest of them, even dip below them a tiny bit. That does happen, but retest them and then start to see that explode. Consolidating at this level early in the morning, not that bad of a thing, guys. The only bad thing would be if we fully rotate into negative trend on the MACD. That would be a bad thing. But I wish you luck, Mr. Trader, Dark Sid. I wish you luck. You've gotten some fake outs. Fake out. Fake out. I mean, AMD had the biggest fake outs, right? So let's hope this one's not another one. But 2% up, 2% down, 2% down. Now we're going up. So well within positive territory. So any kind of drop off or anything like that, we can meet with more positivity if we just keep curling up on this MACD, wait for a little bit of a beat down or sideways movement, and then see that MACD curl back up. Good shot. You're going a little bit higher. So not bad news there. The only thing that's worrying me with this market is Apple, to be totally honest. Apple is not seeing that strength. Second half today, setting up for a dump into tomorrow. I don't know if we will dump tomorrow. We'll have to see what that PMI comes out as. I really think the dump tomorrow, I don't know if it happens fully tomorrow, guys. I don't know if the PMI is really going to shake it up too much. Like I said, because we're so high up and people are so euphoric and so bullish and the VIX is going lower and lower, you need that news to be bad. You need it to be bad. You need to be able to convince someone it's bad. It's like, oh, I love this house and one of the faucets doesn't work. You're still going to love the house if one of the faucets doesn't work. Now you're like, I love this house. And then you go in the basement and the foundation's all messed up. That's really bad news. That would make you not want the house anymore. That's what I'm talking about. All-time high until next meeting, in my opinion, first week of March. And that easily could happen. Usually we do in the cycle, right, the seasonality, we do see weakness halfway through February. We haven't seen that weakness, which just is another tick in the box for, hey, a sudden drop could be coming. Now we know how this works. We can still see volatility because we haven't necessarily heard the rate cuts coming yet. Usually when they announce rate cuts, we actually see an upsurge. But you guys know better. When the Fed randomly says they're going to cut rates, they know something is breaking in the system. Reacting because the bank system, something is going wrong. And they have to say, if we don't lower these rates, the banks will die off. We'll have to bail them out or something again. So it's kind of a buy the rumor, buy being what you're told, and then sell that fact once it actually comes out. But all-time high, definitely possible. And some people were saying I never said all-time high or anything. It's like, no, I just thought the all-time high would come in October. And now that we're going to all-time highs really, really fast, now I'm going to tell you this. I said that the bait is going to be all-time high. Now we can still keep going higher. I'm not saying I'm not open to this still going to October. I'm still thinking a trap gets set up here. Next week's going to be real important with Jerome Powell. I think it's next Wednesday. Oh, it was the guy you guys told me about, Ron Walker. He actually pointed something out. I watched him for about 5-10 minutes. I can't watch the whole video. It's too much. But I watched him for about 5-10 minutes. And he pointed out, he's like, March 6th or something was where we saw some kind of huge uptick or something. Or is that where we like bottomed out or something like that? October. Let me pull back. I think it was like... what was he saying March 6th? Oh, wait, maybe that's when we... No? No? I don't know. He was saying something about March 6th, and he's like, how funny would that be if it lined up with next week on March 6th we see the big rug pull? I was like, hey, that'd be funny. But he's awesome. He's pretty fun. Chose short-term SPY longs, expiration 3/4. Okay. Well, then we got to see the SPY turn back up for you. You need it to blow past this area here. 30 different ways for an hour. I know. And like, he even says in his videos, he's like, I know this is long. I'm trying to make them shorter. Like he said that or something in one of the videos I saw in the last like couple days or week. Mara, you think that's easy short? Isn't Mara like a mining thing? I thought Mara was a mining thing. I might be wrong. It's like a Bitcoin mining or something, I thought. Divergence here, daily scale, not looking too good there. Got to do 1.25. I've never done that. Does he sound squeakier? In great length and detail. Phony, flabbergast, fuddy-duddy. Like, I don't know what he says. It's just funny. No, it sounds normal, just not so slow. That's funny. Yeah. Mara here, not a good signal. Big down day as of Mara. Seeing that daily divergence come in. You even got a divergence between these two right here. Something pretty cool you can look at. 2 hour here. Look at that. See what I'm saying? Daily. Boom. 2 hour. I'm literally showing you 2 hour divergence. Boom. Leading to a daily crossing. It's good. It's good stuff. Now you want to see 30-minute. Boom. 30-minute divergence. So this is a great trade. I'm just going to tell you right now, if I was looking at this and talking about my course, this is a stock that we would look at. This is what we would look at. Blah, blah, blah. I have a direct relate, and that's true. I mean, to a point. Like, I understand what he's saying when he says stuff about donations. I say donations every once in a while, but I can tell you, like, YouTube money, guys. Just by the way, you guys, really keep this in mind. Like, I'll be honest with you guys. You don't make much from the ad money from these videos, so that's why I really, sure, I want to grow and all that kind of stuff, but. Yeah, just so you guys know, I'm putting about But now I'm putting about 5 hours of work into this a day. I maybe make like $7 a day. So, but I enjoy it. I enjoy that, you know, people want to learn. I enjoy that aspect of it. So I'm really enjoying that people are joining the Patreon. Good little influx of Patreon members. It gets me excited to make those Wednesday updates. I really do enjoy talking about this stuff. Now my wife doesn't have to hear me talk about it all the time. I can talk about it with you guys. I always talk to her about stuff and she'll just be like, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. But now she's to the point where she's like, daily divergence. Like, now it's to the point where she's like, oh, daily divergence, that's not good. Still hear you talk about it. Hey, come on now. You're supposed to be sleeping right now. Oh, you still hear me talk about it every single day. And now you hear me talk about YouTube. Really want to see if this is happening pretty well here. Tesla down 1%, NVIDIA up 1.75, still at that 790, not able to break above 800. AMD 186, coming down just a tiny bit there. Got up to only 0.5, 0.4 on the day. QQQ. The VIX not able to lose right now. Start her off young. Yeah, we brought her on the stream yesterday. If you guys were here yesterday, you got to see baby Ariana. She doesn't seem too interested in stocks just yet. She keeps wanting me to invest in bottles. What fucking bottle? Like, what bottles am I going to invest in? What are you talking about? She thinks you can just hop on here and invest in bottles. Sense. You gotta find me a ticker, Ari. Alright, that coffee was good. Split stack here. I'm still here. Don't worry. I haven't left you guys. We're still hanging out. We're still watching stuff. And we're back. Ari, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to day trade. Yo. Father's dream there. Just me and her taking money from Wall Street. Toy, milk, Pampers. Yeah, Pampers. Yeah, 100%. I don't know. I don't know if those are on the up and up because Walmart's taken all their baby stuff. I think they'll be fully not having a baby section soon. Did call last July top and October 20 bottom. Hey, that's good. He is calling, like, I can't remember what his thumbnails look like, but according to his thumbnails, he is calling it right now. I mean, me and him are a little bit in the same headspace. Really are on some things. We're in the same headspace. Possible double top forming on this S&P 500 at a major trend line of resistance. Stock market rally likely followed by a top and drop. That's one thing I'll give him. Like, he just comes out and says it. Good for him. Stock market rally. So he's thinking similar. Yeah, he's thinking similar to how we're thinking. Some kind of rally. I wonder if he thinks that we'll be trapped before Jerome Powell talks. Damn, we're actually coming down a little bit here. Maybe someone watches the full-length video. See, I don't like this. The market likely tanks Thursday with the PCE inflation or with Powell's testimony. Okay, so we're similar vibe. But yeah, if you notice, I changed my tone during the live video yesterday. I was like, PCE could actually be positive for the market. Maybe we see some kind of pop and drop right now. Seeing a little bit of a pop and drop, not able to curl up on that hourly chart. But I get it though. He is seeing the signals, and he's just saying it in a more blunt way of like, this is it, or this is it. So he's just telling you the signals are there for it to drop, and they were. The signals were here today for us to drop, right? He's not incorrect. Signal here, right? We got the cup. If you want to complete the cup over here, even you get some kind of handle here. You do have that opportunity, but we know, good news. Just as long as the market sees it as good news, we're going to see that turn up. Gotta be careful with coin though. Bitcoin can move, right? It was at 60, it's high at 63, 67 or something like that. 67K. I think it was like 2 weeks later, it was at like 50K. So that's a big drop. And coin's gonna follow that. A lot of stuff starting to come down. Not the best sign for these stocks as of right now. Daily side. Yeah, not the best look as of right now for these stocks. Still not dramatic enough to get me fully scared, but yeah, we're still consolidating on the SPY. This is most likely nothing at this point. Still could cross over, come and fill this. Really get it. I don't think I hear a promo with the first 5 minutes. Yeah, I have been saying, Patreon a lot lately, but that's mainly just because this week is like today's the best day to join. It really is. Like this is where you get the most value out of it. You get the monthly, you'll get the dailies for tomorrow, you'll get the weeklies on Sunday, like just everything there. And then we're starting that Wednesday video. So it's just like there's just a lot that's good about it. That's why I'm pushing it today. You'll probably hear me shut up about it a little bit after the next week. Totally dig this channel. We are very similar in our approach. I can tell my new spot mornings and evenings. Hey, appreciate that. That is so awesome, Sid. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate that. And you guys are welcome to call me out on stuff, right? Constructive. Let's be constructive about it and say, hey, I think Luke's getting a little biased here. That's perfectly fine with me. But I'm just calling it how I see it. So I really do appreciate that, though, and that's very cool that we trade pretty similarly, or at least we see the signals similarly, not thinking we exactly trade the same. But Andre, thank you so much for subscribing. Appreciate you. Look at you bouncing. We're bouncing. Heck yeah. Thank you for joining. We appreciate having you here on the live stream. We're going to come back tomorrow, look at those daily ranges for every single stock that we cover on this channel. That would be SPY, Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, NVIDIA, AMD, and we're going to look at Meta as well this week. Got those risk ranges for Meta. So we might as well pay attention to it. Plenty of time to click around. The Q's actually getting a sell signal, okay? So this is where you open the door to this kind of pattern waking up. Watch out if we get some kind of small bounce. We could be breaking down lower. If we want to head higher, really want to hold up where we're at right now. I don't think we want to break below right around here. So this part right here, pretty important. Let's see if we can hold up at this level to the bull side. If you start to break down, you open the door to some negativity coming in. Thank you guys for joining this morning. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, just like Andre just did. Really appreciate it. Here in about 10 minutes, we got 10 minutes more of watching this. Let's see if this signal goes a little bit crazy over the next 10 minutes here. See if we're able to turn this back around. But in 10 minutes, we're going to be breaking down, going through every stock that we do cover on this channel, giving a quick little rundown in the last 15 minutes of the stream. And then my dog's looking at me like this. So he might need to go outside. And then tomorrow we do have PMI, so join us back tomorrow morning as well. But we're hanging out for a little bit longer here. Oh, and I didn't see Dark Sid. I didn't notice you're a 5-year trader. Congrats. Good job. Keep it going. And we're seeing that signal fade, that little sell signal, which we don't necessarily pay too much attention to. Really just want to pay attention to this MACD if you're looking at a 15 minutes. See if that goes negative. If that goes negative, you might break through and kind of turn over these divergences. Unless this is able to get some rapid growth back up into this area, you could set up some kind of head and shoulders on the short time frame here. 15-minute head a little bit lower. That's something to pay attention to. Apple's still negative. NVIDIA not able to break above 800. AMD holding at a 5.5% gain as of right now. Meta almost getting to 0. Okay. 0% gain. Not 0 price. Jesus, that would be crazy if they hit 0. Drink me some water. Yeah, it's true. I'm 31, just had my first. 31, just had my first, and you had a little girl. We're girl dads. We're girl dads. Look at us. Look at us. Let's turn them into a trading squad. No, knowing her and her mom, she's going to be an artsy one. She's going to like to draw, paint. Maybe if I get lucky, I can get her to play soccer. That'd be nice. That'd be fun for me. Really needs to hold up here. The Dow looking like. Ooh, that might be a fake out right there. That's a little too excited, but you do still have potential. Left head, right shoulder. You still have potential in the Dow. SPY full retest of this broken triangle. Gonna fill that gap for sure now. There's that gap fill. Pay attention. This might be going the other way. This is the scenario. It can go the other way. Starts to break through. Starts to go into negative territory. We can go the other way here. Hit the bottom side of that daily expected move. That's not looking good for the market right now. Let's see if we have anyone talking about some news. No real news up right now. No one sees anything down the pipeline. Let's take a look at that. The VIX is moving. We got notified of that. Boom, we're getting that cross up. Now this does have head and shoulders potential. Sometimes the technicals aren't the best on the VIX for these head and shoulder plays, but we can see this wants to curl up. It's got a ways to go to get into positive territory, so you're going to need some bigger volatility to come in. Dollar seeing that increase, but we're seeing that VIX move right now. Seeing the SPY really start to sell off, kind of reject on that hourly we were talking about. So something to pay attention to there. That's where I'd pretty much be paying attention. See if it's able to hold up here. Gap fill makes sense. Keys, gap fill now makes sense. This kind of opens the door to some bad things happening. If we start to, actually we're broken below the level, we have that door open now for some kind of test here, some kind of small bounce. So be pretty careful out there. I have a newborn as well, born February 12th. Awesome. Mine Asphalt was born. I'm sorry, I don't want to make fun. That's rude. Mine was born. Shoot, when was it? February 2nd? Yeah, February 2nd. So she is 2224. Yeah, which is cool because it's kind of like my dad's. Honky, thanks for telling us about the VIX. Really appreciate that. Def being patient on the downside. Yep. Got to be a little weary here, though. Okay, so now we're back in the area where we could go either way. Originally, this is bullish. If we could have held this consolidation for quite some time. Now we're looking a little bit sketch. Looking at the VIX here, coming down pretty significantly, getting back in this consolidation. See if we get a reaction. This is very important. This is a fake out at this point. We overall stated how, yes, the news can initially seem good, but we could be seeing lower prices in stocks, as we are seeing the PM or the PCE actually tick up compared to the previous months. We were seeing a downtrend. Now we kind of flipped. We're seeing that knock up one time. Apple under 180, going into a very important zone here. We've talked about this zone before. See if this creates no real divergence down here on the VIX. You want to see if that can create some kind of divergence for you down here in this area. Still have a slight divergence on the 30-minute. Wasn't able to get into positive territory one more time. So kind of worrisome here. Really want to see prices starting to get tight. We're looking for a more explosive move out of Apple here. So if we can keep consolidating like this, we could see some breakouts going into tomorrow. But this zone's very, very important. Very, very important. 2 hour here. That has curled over. If this thing starts to go negative, we can see it drop off. Really want it to break through this entire zone, though. I'm not worried about Apple until it starts to break through this entire zone. Then I would really start to worry. It is in a negative trend right now, though. So you have to say Apple has a higher likelihood of going down than up, unless these divergences are able to get it into positive territory. So not a good sign from Apple. Very, very, very glad that my gut kicked in and I got out of my Apple trade. AMD starting to reject down from that level we're paying attention to. And NVIDIA not seeing that gap filled at this point. Gotta see if that's able to fill soon. Holding up pretty well. I wonder what really went negative. Palo Alto down 2%. Bitcoin down 1% now, down to about 62,000. SPY still holding at this negative. Okay, so really need to pay attention here. Just got the crossing on the MACD. That is not a good sign. If it gets into negative territory, it's a really bad sign. Qs, have we been able to cross? We're seeing that buy back up. Okay, so this is the potential here. If we start to buy back up more vertically here, that's actually not a bad thing. Maybe we do reject this crossing on the Qs, but if we start to head just a little bit lower, we can really see some bad things start to form, start to break down with some more rapid selling. This selling is pretty good at this point. We're seeing that come down pretty steep on the 15-minute. I like the 30-minute. This you'll see it a little bit cleaner. You see how that's a pretty downward projection. You usually don't want to see that with any kind of handle. You really want to see that kind of move a little bit more sideways. Not the best look. Waiting to see, though, if this on the 30-minute even can cross down. That would be a good sign to me. Hey, maybe this is some kind of double topping up in here. We're actually going to see this divergence get into negative territory. So got to be a little bit patient with it. Don't want to jump the gun. Don't want to jump ahead of the signals. Really want to wait for mine to confirm at a dangerous area like this, because, you know, we're seeing that swing up, swing down. This could be your higher low still. You could start to swing back up. So really got to pay attention. Now I'd really be looking for this cup here and this cup here. So little cup within a cup. Seeing that buy back up. Meta going green again. Apple down 1%. Touching that zone, touching that zone. 30-minute, you see that divergence, not really here on the MACD, it's here, but on the RSI, not necessarily there, right? It comes a little bit lower. But you do have that divergence over here, so maybe we pull up an hourly, see if it's a little bit cleaner. There you go. There's your hourly divergence with this low and this low at this moment. Have that divergence. Hasn't confirmed yet, but you do have divergences all around to possibly get this up into positive territory. So you do have that potential still. But a little bit scary moving forward, right? Because this thing is in negative territory. It can continue. Really see that 2 hour, get that selling going. Apple on the 1 hour, we did reject that cross, but it hasn't really exceeded the MACD yet. Hasn't gone into negative territory. So that's what'll happen if we do see this setup. Little setup on a 15-minute, you're going to see this go negative most likely, and then that will be not a good thing for the tech stocks today. Let's see if they are talking about this rotation at all.
of it comes from he, hated the idea of, having to move with his mom, a single mom, and his siblings because the rent kept going up. He wanted to be an owner rather than a renter. So that informed a lot of his early business decisions. And then...
Yeah, that's just them talking about Alex Rodriguez and Jason Kelly. Talking about some business decisions of someone. And I just don't like to cloud my head with a bunch of nonsense personally. If they're talking about NVDA, if they're talking about the overall stock market, I will definitely tune in. Or if they're talking about a Fed speaker, which maybe that's what actually kind of shook things up a little bit. Maybe we did get a Fed speaker come in. When did they go on? 9:50, 10 a.m. That was 46 minutes ago, possibly, but 12:15 is the next one. Mester. We do have the bill auction that just happened. 15-year mortgage rate, 30-year mortgage rate coming out next down the pipeline here in about 13 minutes. So let's run through some stuff, guys. Let's run through it. We're in the last 15 minutes here, so let's run through some of these. Right, so we did see that positive reaction. What were we saying early on in the morning, talking about the SPY here? Hey, we could easily see a good reaction here. We kind of flipped the script. This area here is really where you do want to complete that cup. Is this just a steep handle? Getting some pretty good selling coming down. So we were able to close this gap. Is that going to be another trap? Is this a trap? Is this a trap? Like I said, we're going to see a bunch of traps moving throughout this week. Overall, why I said this market can be a bloodbath. It's really going to swing us both ways. So if we want to go negative here, 15 minute, really want to see this go into a negative trend. If this starts to go into a negative trend, most likely you're going to take out these lows. Head towards our daily expected move for the day. If that continues into tomorrow, watch out for that weekly expected move. Like we said, it makes total sense to sell off if we want to come back into that monthly because that's the top side. But we also stated how we want to dip into liquidity, right? You don't have much liquidity really up here. Most of yours is right in here. This is very good liquidity, so this could just be a liquidity grab to then head higher. This still could be some kind of handle, so don't let it fake you out too much. But the news today coming out with the PCE, yes, it came in as expected, which can initially be good news, but we noticed that if we look at the chart, we haven't gone up by 0.4 in about a year, and we've actually been at 0.1 for a couple months in a row, and then we see that tick up to 0.4. Not the best sign. Qs on the 15-minute, very similar story. Let's get rid of this for now. I'll keep this one just in case we set up that head and shoulders in the near future. You really want to buy up from this area. That would tell me if we buy up from this area, not enough liquidity grabbed in here, got to grab some down in here, and then start to head higher. So we'll have to see if this wants to unconfirm that crossing of the MACD, not able to get into negative territory. Really pay attention to that. But if we do kind of be able to break through this level by end of day, we can really see this start to scoop up, come down, start to pop up, get a little retest here, use the monthly and the daily as support, maybe then to head a little bit higher. Watch out for that weekly expected move. We'll talk about that in tonight's video. Apple, not looking good, right? Not looking good. We do have some hourly divergences still that could see some buying back up, but we overall said this is our warning sign this morning. We said it multiple times. This is a warning sign. Apple not participating in the move as of right now, setting up a little bit of a head and shoulders here, could break down, touching into that zone we've been mentioning. Very, very important. So will we be able to see some buying back up from there? Well, we'll find out by end of day. Amazon here, probably looking the best, honestly, across the board, right? Completing some cupping in here, getting some consolidation, not seeing that sell off, really just consolidating here, giving you that handle to potentially head higher. If you're part of the Patreon, look out for those weekly expected moves for Amazon if we start to see some upside. Tesla, one that we were hesitant on in our Patreon video last night, yesterday afternoon. We put out that video talking about these ranges that you get on Patreon, and we were just stating how this does not look good. We have that triple divergence up here, could start to drop down. If this wants to, we can drop down and get one more pop up, get some kind of head and shoulders. At this point, though, maybe a 30-minute. I'd pay attention to a 30-minute. This is going to be a very important zone. So if this is able to curl up, we can see some more of that positivity. But is it going to give us a triple divergence on a 30-minute? Something I like a lot. Triple divergence with momentum on 30 minutes. Telling you the momentum is dying out to the upside. And we got Fed Jerome Powell talking next week, and we have PMI tomorrow. So if we do see that positivity come in, be a little bit careful there. Okay, NVIDIA moving forward. Got to pay attention to this. Not necessarily seeing the big sell-off. Actually, on a 30-minute, really could pay attention to this crossing over into negative territory, breaking through this level. Could mean we're going to head towards a 750 pretty damn quick. Okay, so the 15 minutes, something I'm paying attention to, just that cup and handle. It is cupping, handling in the exact area you want it to. Right up in this price action here. Very important for NVIDIA, that 800 number. Guess what? You're getting that cup to complete right before 800. Getting some sort of handle at this point. So we could actually see this head higher if we remain in positive. If we're going to go down from here, gonna have to pay attention to this crossing over into negative territory. You want this to cross over negative, not create another point of divergence, really take it out and get pretty steep here. You're going to see that base taken out if that happens. AMD seeing a strong move today. Waiting for that to load. I still have a short at higher prices. Yes, you still do have that shot. AMD here, seeing a very strong move. Would like to pull up an hourly here. We got that hourly crossing. Divergence kind of taken out on the RSI. If divergence is taken out on the RSI, if we just consolidate here for quite some time, we could blow past this level up here I'm paying attention to. Start to head a little bit higher, maybe with a full ABC move. So, you know, we got this right here. Who's to say that's not going to happen one more time, right? From this low, maybe come up to something like, I don't know, maybe a round number like 200 looks pretty good for AMD. Really want to pay attention if this starts to cross over, though. Still very close on the hourly to negative territory. This could be a last fake out, or we actually head a lot lower. So be very careful. Be willing to flip the script pretty quick. Meta here, hourly perspective, just fully not able to curl up on this hourly MACD. Still in positive territory. Still a chance for that positivity to come in. Looking at the 15-minute here, we just noticed that on the 15-minute we can see that cupping a little bit better. Looks like we're completing that right where we need to, right at this high, coming down, getting that cup, getting a second cup, getting like it just really needs to break through this level cleanly, this 489, 490, very cleanly. Very good chance to head to 500 if that's able to happen, or at least the top side of this consolidation, just the connection between these highs up here. We've gotten some moves a little bit higher out. So might happen one more time, get to that 500, see some selling come in. So just a lot to pay attention to. Across the board, the VIX starting to make a move higher. Just want to see if that is actually going to cross above this here, the 2-hour, what we're mainly paying attention to on the VIX. Really think this might want to roll over first before, but we're seeing that base out pretty good. So that's something to pay attention to. You can almost see it on the 2-hour. If we form some head and shoulders, head a little bit lower, still think we have a good shot to come down and fill this gap before we actually see some of that that selling come in. Before we see volatility come in, could definitely see this dropping off first. But I'll pay attention to the price action today. A lot to pay attention to as far as today goes, because we're seeing some, my mouse won't scroll, I'm sorry about that. We're just seeing some signals that don't look the best. Now, from a 2-hour perspective here, we're seeing that buy back up. 15-minute doesn't look as bad now. Buying up where we have to at this point. See if that whole thing was just a handle. Maybe we're going to actually head higher here. We're seeing that buy right back up. Kind of look at that. What were we saying when we were talking about the keys just a few seconds ago? Want that to unconfirm. Right now it's unconfirming. So that's a good sign. This right now can be treated as a higher low. We start to break below that level, look out for that right shoulder, okay? Because we could be getting something like this going on. Start to break down to lower levels. So I just really hope that overall we went through some of this stuff pretty quick. I just hope it was overall helpful for the day. I really appreciate you guys being here. Welcome to our new subscribers. Hannah, welcome aboard. Andre, welcome aboard. Sunshine, welcome aboard. Thank you guys for being here. Really do appreciate it. Make sure to like that stream before I take off. I'll leave this up for a few minutes here, but make sure to pay attention to this, move around like water, right? Be willing to flip pretty quick because we're coming into an area where we could be topping out. We're coming up into a fundamental time where we could see some things that cause some volatility with Jerome Powell talking next week. We got PMI next week as well. Marius, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here, so you are very welcome. Sid, silver, first listen, enjoyed. We can go over silver for a moment here. What's your opinion on anchored VWAP? Anchored VWAP is good. Utilize it on ENPH and AMD, made 15% with a put option. Yeah, VWAP's very good. It's very good to pin that VWAP if you're doing a weekly VWAP or something like that. You can pretty much say that once we get above that price, you kind of use it with your moving averages. You get above that price. So if we had something like that, you might, where the heck is my Monday start? It might look something like this, right? Kind of even here. If it starts to curl up, you start to retake that kind of like a moving average. You can use that to go a little bit higher. It's just not something that I personally utilize. I don't like to, I have my set things that I pay attention to. And thank you, Sid, for the $10, by the way. I am going to get to that. It's going to pop up in a second. But overall, it's just I try not to overdo it, right? I want to keep trading as simple as possible for myself. That's overall what has really, really worked for me. And so that's kind of what I preach on this channel. You don't need a ton of different moving out. You don't need a ton of different things. You just need pretty much 3 or 4 set things to give you those 3 to 5 reasons to take a trade. Risk management's part of that. Sid, there's your donation, $10. Silver, we can look at silver real quick. Let's look at this. I like to look daily perspective. We could be seeing a bounce in silver very soon, right? We're getting something of a higher low here. So we could be seeing a bounce with this. The only sketchy part about silver from this perspective, below the 200, if you're able to cross on this MACD, look at this double bottoming here. Very, very pretty. Good little bounce there, but rejection off the 200, not the best thing. If this starts to curl over, we can see another point of divergence made, maybe coming down into this level one more time. But be fearful here. You got to be, because you're below the 200, right? So you could see something like this set up in the near future. Don't get faked out by that. Good way to help yourself out on something like silver when it does look like this. Wait for it to get above the 200. Wait for this to get into positive territory. Then you can start to trade that thing on the way up. But totally understand buying at this level, right? We've seen pops from here. We've seen pops from here. It's a good support. You just have potential here for more selling, as you can see how things go under the 200. Boom, sell off. You know, we can keep going. So it's a time, you know, with consolidation especially. All this is doing, just so you're aware, we have a lot of liquidity here now. So if this wants to pop above the 200, we can get a good move. But we have a lot of liquidity here now. If it starts to break below this low, you can see that drop off pretty significantly. Maybe come down all the way to something like 18.95. But you could also say, hey, watch out below. It could come down to, at that point, that could be a stair step. We can come down to 836, and then after that, we could come down into something like a 16.75. So silver, pretty good, honestly. It's not like horrible. It's just something that you might want to be a little bit more patient on. Wait for more confirmation to the upside. Let's check out a weekly chart for this as well, because most of the time when we're dealing with silver, we're dealing with some kind of investment. And this is where, see, being above the 200 on the daily would maybe get you above the 200 on the 50 at the same time. So if we came up into this 2150, 2180 level, you could be a little bit more confident. But weekly trends still negative at this point. Really want to be patient here. See if that daily is able to get into positive, and then that might carry the weekly over time. So hopefully that was helpful, Sid. I really appreciate that donation. Thank you so much for that donation. Really do appreciate it. And welcome to everyone that's new to the show. Look like good buys. I mean, we can look at GLD real quick since we just looked at silver. We can pop over to GLD. I do have it on there. It's marked, but I don't want to. GLD gold looking a lot different. You can see my old trading ways. I switched to different colors, but you can see my old trading ways. I thought there was a continuation triangle here. Good little trade there, but this is more a good thing for a swing trader, right? We're above the 200, not like silver. We're able to get above the 200. Boom, you see that strength. So if silver's able to get above the 200, that would be more of a bullish thing. You want that to hold. You don't want that to start to fade down. You want that to get that 200, come up, maybe sell at the top of your Bollinger Band here, but then we get that beat down at the 20. We get that reaction, come up, then we come back down. Then this part here is very good because you see that bigger pullback reaction off the 200. You get that crossing of the MACD the next day. Good little trade in here. So far as this goes, this is the weekly chart, by the way. Maybe the daily side will give us some more recent price action. Like I said again, this is looking okay for gold as we are above the 200, right? So this is pretty much liquidity being up in here. You do have potential head and shoulders across here. Another pop here for possibly to grab some more liquidity. So if this is able to break, really I would just be drawing a little trend here, seeing if that's able to break to the upside. The Bollinger Bands are already a little bit spread out, so that's something to pay attention to. Look for this as some kind of flag if we want to head higher as we get into positive territory here on gold. That's actually not a bad sign moving forward. So getting into positive territory, you got a little bit of flagging, you got two bottoms here. See if it's able to produce some kind of divergence for you. No real divergence for you at these lows. Actually, you're setting up a divergence at the high, so you might see gold drop off a little bit. So that's something to pay attention to. Just to give silver, actually, I want to make sure, because you did donate to the channel and I really appreciate it. Let's make sure. So something you can follow is the 2 hour. If this is able to get into positive territory, decent chance that that daily is going to roll up. Just want to be weary if you get some kind of divergence up here. Make sure that you're not going to see that ripped away as you are below the 200. So if you get a positive move, maybe to like a 2150, really pay attention because that could be how you get above this 200-day moving average. That would be very important. So doesn't look horrible at this point. Doesn't look like a bad area to think about it. Just be careful as it could cross back over. So we really want that to start to get above the 200. QQQ and SPY goes up from here, then was a nasty 10 to 15 minutes of selling. Almost sold my SPY calls. Yes, like I said at the beginning of this week, that Sunday video I was stating, hey, this could be a bloodbath because of the fluctuation in the prices. I really think they are going to start trapping you back and forth. The thing about you getting trapped back and forth, bulls and bears, that's exactly what happens in a bear market, okay? So really want to pay attention to that. This is not wanting to load on the SPY. So we'll talk about all of this stuff tonight. We will. So come back for tonight's video where we will give you those daily ranges. Okay, we're going to give you the daily ranges for every stock that we cover on this channel in tonight's YouTube video. This isn't wanting to load. I'm a little frozen over here, so we're going to have to fix that. But I just want to say, man, I really do appreciate you guys being here. Sid, Sid, I keep calling you Sid. SDY. Really do appreciate the $10. That really is awesome. Whenever someone's like, hey, this is helpful enough that I want to give some of my hard-earned cash, that's really, really awesome. So thank you so much. Just think about joining that Patreon, guys, okay? It's a great day to join because we do have that monthly. It pretty much costs you a cup of coffee a month. And I like my coffee, but that way you can get those weekly ranges every single week. You can get those daily ranges every single Friday, and you can get the monthly ranges as soon as possible, which new month starts tomorrow. So we're going to those for you tonight. You can get those for free for the SPY and Qs on YouTube. For every other stock, NVDA would be a good one to join to grab that. And then we talk about that every Wednesday. So we'll probably talk about the monthlies on next week's Wednesday update on Patreon. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this live video. We will be live again tomorrow for PMI. Be safe out there. We're kind of getting those traps back and forth. So let's just pay attention. And be willing to flip the script, right? Don't get too bullish, don't get too bearish. Take profit when you can. It's a time to be cautious. It's a time to be a little bit fearful as we do have some fundamental stuff happening as far as tomorrow goes. So thank you so much for joining. Really do appreciate it. And I hope you guys have all the luck of the world trading the rest of the day. There's my chart. Let's take a look at SPY real quick. Oh God, now it's going to take forever to load a 15-minute. So appreciate you guys stopping by. Appreciate all the likes. Appreciate the new subscribers. Welcome, welcome, welcome if you're new. And thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great day.